Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 525. The fire dragon was really petrified? This burly man's heaven dipper art was too terrifying. Fatso's eyes flashed and he whispered, "Boss, this is a good opportunity." The fire dragon was petrified and was already at the end of its tether. As long as they seized the opportunity, it would be easy to obtain the pill fire. However, hearing Fatso's words, Qin Feiyang shook his head. "What's wrong?" Fatso was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "The fire dragon is not so easy to deal with. Let's retreat a little further and wait for an opportunity to move." Fatso was surprised. In such a situation, could the fire dragon turn the tables? However, the fatty didn't raise any questions. He followed Qin Feiyang and silently retreated into the distance. High up in the sky, the terrifying aura shook the clouds. Mo Wuxian, the young woman, Lu Yunfeng and the rest's battle arts fell rapidly like meteors, exuding the power of destruction. Looking at the fire dragon again, other than its head, its entire body had been petrified. After 3 breaths, even its head was petrified. It was originally a living creature, but now it had turned into a stone statue. It was also at this moment Mo Wuxian shouted to the burly man, "Old Yen, get out of the way." Because the battle arts had already arrived. If the burly man did not leave, he would definitely be affected. Whoosh! The burly man looked up at the battle arts and his pupils suddenly constricted. He did not dare to hesitate and let go of the fire dragon's huge tail and quickly retreated. Boom! Just as the burly man left, Mo Wuxian and the rest's battle arts drowned the fire dragon. Immediately, the rumbling sound was deafening. Roar! At the same time, a painful wail resounded through the sky. Following closely, the fire dragon's huge body was accompanied by a loud bang and smashed into the ground below. Whoosh! The burly man soared into the sky and landed beside Mo Wuxian and the young woman. He sneered, "So it's only so-so." The young woman smiled and said, "It's all thanks to you." Mo Wuxian nodded. If the burly man had not petrified the fire dragon, their battle arts would not have been able to hit it. "Ha!" The burly man could not help but laugh proudly. "Look at how proud you are." The young woman rolled her eyes at him. With a wave of her jade-like hand, a gale suddenly rose between heaven and earth, blowing away the dust and smoke below. Immediately, a huge sinkhole entered everyone's line of sight. The fire flood dragon was lying in the sinkhole. The stone armor on his body had already been shattered, and his entire body was riddled with wounds. Blood flowed incessantly and dyed the surrounding ground red. The muscular man glanced at the fire dragon, then turned to Mo Wuxian and said, "The fire dragon has been dealt with. Don't forget your promise to us." "Don't worry, I will definitely help you refine pills for 3 years for free," Mo Wuxian said as a rare bright smile appeared on his cold face. "So they've already reached an agreement." Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher looked at each other, and a cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. Mo Wuxian seemed to have sensed something as he turned his head to look at Lu Yunfeng and the other two. The smile on his face instantly disappeared. Both of them felt a chill in their hearts. Could it be that Mo Wuxian sensed it? Just when the two of them were in a panic, Mo Wuxian finally looked away. He glanced at the woman in black dress and the others and said lightly, "You stay here and pay attention to Ma-san's movements." "All right." The woman in black dress and the others replied. Lu Yunfeng and the other two quickly nodded, but their hearts were filled with helplessness. It seemed that they had no fate with the alchemy fire. Immediately after, Mo Wuxian, the young woman, and the muscular man swooped down and flew towards the fire dragon. The young woman suddenly said, "I feel that we can't keep Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher alive." Mo Wuxian and the muscular man looked at her in surprise. The young woman said, "I heard that the two of them are about to break through. Once they break through, they will be the biggest threat to us." The muscular man said, I also heard about it. Mo Wuxian's eyes flashed and said, they are indeed a threat, but we can't kill them. Why? The two of them were puzzled. Mo Wuxian said, their talents are very high. Although they didn't receive master's favor, the Grand Hall Master likes them very much. Unlike the other disciples, it doesn't matter if they are killed. The two of them nodded. What he said was not without reason. After all, there were too many people now. If they really killed Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher, when the news reached the ears of the Grand Hall Master, the Grand Hall Master would definitely seek an explanation from the palace chief. Although the palace chief might not punish them severely, his attitude towards them would definitely change. The muscular man's eyes suddenly lit up as he said in a low voice, why don't we use Ma San to get rid of them? Although I haven't interacted much with Ma San, from the past few situations, his mind is even more flexible than Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher. It's basically impossible to use him. Actually, you don't need to be in such a hurry to get rid of Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher. So what if they step into the War Master? They only have 2 people, but we have 3. Furthermore, we are all veteran War Masters. Why would we be afraid of these 2 newly advanced War Masters? Moreover, aren't we about to break through? When we break through to the 2-star War Master, these 2 trash will be even less of a concern. Mo Wuxian said in disdain. That makes sense. The 2 of them nodded and dispelled this thought. While they were talking, the 3 of them entered the deep pit and landed in front of the fire dragon. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Pei Sancher were lying in a patch of grass in the distance. Seeing this, Fatso immediately became anxious and said in a low voice, Boss, why aren't you making a move? Don't worry. Qin Feiyang whispered, his gaze extremely calm. He did not believe that the fire dragon would be defeated so easily. The reason was that the fire dragon had yet to activate its battle soul. If it was said that the fire dragon did not have a battle soul, he would definitely not believe it. Because, the fire dragon was already considered a top-notch beast that stood at the peak of the pyramid. This kind of beast's talent was not inferior to human geniuses. Activating the battle soul was a sure thing. And even if it was petrified before, the fire dragon did not reveal its battle soul. This meant that it was completely confident in its own defense and strength. Most importantly, according to historical records, the defense of a beast like the flood dragon was even more terrifying than the black stone ape. As expected. Just as Mo Wuxian and the other 2 were about to completely end the fire dragon's life, the dying fire dragon suddenly raised its huge tail and swept it towards the 3 of them. This unforeseen event came too suddenly. Mo Wuxian and the other 2 were completely caught off guard. Bang bang bang. Ah! Accompanied by 3 painful screams, the 3 of them were sent flying on the spot. Blood spurted out from their mouths and countless bones in their bodies were broken. How is this possible? There's actually such a strong power? The 3 of their pupils constricted, filled with disbelief. At the same time, Lu Yunfeng and the others above also changed their expressions. After suffering such a serious blow, it was still able to counterattack. Wasn't this beast's skin too thick? Boom! An astonishing ferocious aura roared out from the fire dragon's body. The next moment, its huge body rose with flames that were dozens of feet high as it flew out of the deep pit. It glanced at Mo Wuxian and the other 2 with extreme contempt in its eyes. Just you little ants want to kill this emperor? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Next, prepare to tremble. The fire dragon soared into the sky. Its bloody giant tail was like a long whip that could destroy the world as it swept towards Lu Yunfeng and the others. The wind was ear-piercing. Not good. Lu Yunfeng and the others' expressions changed as they turned around and fled without hesitation. But one had to know. The fire dragon was a super fierce beast of the War Master level, and they were only War Emperor. The difference in speed between the 2 was like heaven and earth. How could they possibly escape? The 9 7-star War Emperor were the first to be killed by the giant tail. There was no suspense. Under the crushing pressure of the giant tail, their bodies were like withered trees that couldn't withstand a single blow. For a moment. High up in the sky, flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Broken corpses and broken arms shot everywhere. Mournful screams resounded through the sky. Damn it, why is it still so strong? Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sanshi, and the black-dressed woman were so scared that their souls almost left their bodies when they saw this scene. They ran away without holding back. However, not only was he unable to pull away from the fire dragon, he was even getting closer and closer. At this moment, Mo Wuxian and the other two finally stabilized their bodies. Looking at the scene above them, their eyes were extremely gloomy. The brawny man asked, "To save or not to save?" "Of course we have to. The fire dragon is too strong. If they are all killed, we will have no hope of snatching the pill fire," Mo Wuxian said in a deep voice. "Then let's do it," the young woman said. The cold air broke out of her body and condensed a giant vortex above her head. Mo Wuxian's entire body was also surrounded by killing intent. "I'll go first," the brawny man shouted in a low voice and turned into a stream of light, shooting towards the sky. The armor on his body and the shield in his hand also appeared once again. "Bastard, give me your life." As he approached the fire dragon, he roared towards the sky and rushed forward. But the strange thing was that he didn't rush towards the fire dragon. Instead, he rushed into the clouds. Did he fail? Fatso, who was in the distance, was stunned. "That won't happen." Qin Feiyang shook his head. How could an expert who had reached the level of War Master fail? It was very likely that this person was preparing some big killing move. Just as this thought appeared in his mind. Clang! A thunderous sound suddenly exploded between heaven and earth. Heavenly Dipper battle sword, slash. Next. The brawny man let out an angry roar as his battle chi surged out like a wave. In an instant, it condensed into a huge yellow sword. The huge sword was dozens of meters long. It was like a heaven-splitting divine sword that lay horizontally above the 9 heavens. Its entire body was shining brightly, emitting a thick aura. The moment the huge sword appeared, without the slightest delay, it immediately slashed towards the fire dragon. Streaks of apocalyptic light swept across the sky. Boom! Puff! The huge sword whistled and slashed onto the fire dragon's huge tail. A half-meter deep wound actually appeared on the fire dragon's huge tail. Blood flowed like a waterfall, dyeing the void red. Ayo! Immediately, the fire dragon wailed in pain. But at the same time, it opened its wide mouth and a surge of battle chi surged out. Like a torrent of beasts, it collided with the huge sword. Clang! The huge sword shattered on the spot. The brawny man's 8 feet tall body also trembled violently. Blood spurted from his mouth and his face was as pale as paper. "Lowly human, you actually dare to hurt this emperor. Die." When the fire dragon saw the wound on its huge tail, it immediately became ferocious. Chapter 526. Bastard, go to hell. But at this moment, Mo Wuxian and the young woman roared at the same time. Above Mo Wuxian's head, there were 7 blood-red blades floating. Each blood blade was dozens of feet long. Blood light shot out in all directions, dyeing the sky red. The whirlpool above the young woman's head was even more astonishing. An ice phoenix actually soared out. It flapped its 2 huge wings and circled above the young woman's head. Its entire body was crystal clear, like a beautiful ice sculpture, and cold air surged around its body. A sharp cry resounded through the sky. In the blink of an eye. As Mo Wuxian and the young woman's voice fell, the 7 blood blades and the ice phoenix whizzed towards the fire dragon. The destructive aura was earth-shattering, and the land within a few miles was affected. The mountains and rivers collapsed, the rivers flowed backwards, and the fierce beasts roared in despair. It was like the scene before the end of the world. You insignificant ants, you dare to offend this emperor's divine might again and again. Today, this emperor will swallow all of you alive. The fire dragon's anger overflowed. It completely ignored the blood blades and the ice phoenix. Its huge head swooped down and swallowed the brawny man into its stomach. Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sanshi, and the black-dressed woman originally wanted to help Mo Wuxian and the other two kill the fire dragon. But when they saw this scene, they were scared witless and ran away without looking back. A war master was actually swallowed alive just like that. It was too terrifying. Was there still a need to continue fighting? The brawny man was swallowed alive, and Lu Yunfeng and the other two actually escaped. This made Mo Wuxian and the young woman extremely angry. One had to know. If it wasn't for saving these three people, the brawny man could have just left. Why would he have sacrificed his own life? But these three pieces of shit actually ran away just like that. It was simply unforgivable. But now, it was obviously not the time to settle the score with these three people. The two of them stared at Blood Blade and Ice Phoenix. Whether or not they could kill the fire dragon depended on now. After the fire dragon swallowed the brawny man, it didn't dare to hesitate. It hurriedly moved its huge body, wanting to avoid the blood blades and ice phoenix. But it was still a step too late. Mo Wuxian's 7 blood blades, in an instant, all slashed towards its huge tail. Moreover, he had calculated in advance and slashed at the wound. Previously, the burly man's sword had caused a half-meter deep wound. Now that all 7 blood blades had landed, coupled with Mo Wuxian's battle strength, which was already stronger than the burly man, the fire Jiao dragon's huge tail was completely severed by the blood blades. Roar! The fire Jiao immediately howled miserably. That half of the giant tail fell, smashing a deep hole in the broken ground. Blood poured down like a waterfall, dyeing the void and the earth red. At the same time, the ice phoenix was like a meteor as it collided with the fire flood dragon's head. The ice phoenix instantly shattered, turning into ice and frost that filled the world. The fire flood dragon's head was also bleeding, and half of its body was sent flying. Its tail had been chopped off, and its head had been shattered. To it, this was undoubtedly one disaster after another. Now, don't let it escape, Mo Wuxian shouted. The young woman nodded. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and a snowflake appeared behind her. That snowflake was the size of a palm. It was completely white and flawless, like a peerless piece of precious jade that had been meticulously carved. At the same time, there was also a small sword behind Mo Wuxian's back that rose into the air. The small sword was only the length of a finger. It was completely blood-red, as if it had just been soaked in blood. A bloody light flashed, and a shocking murderous intent rushed out. Seeing this, Fatso asked in surprise, "Is this a fighting soul? If it's not a fighting soul, what else can it be?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. However, these two people's fighting souls seemed to be very unusual. "Bastard, today is the day you die." Once the fighting souls appeared, Mo Wuxian and the young woman roared. The palm-sized snowflake and the small blood-red sword immediately turned into a flash of light. In the blink of an eye, they actually appeared in front of the fire flood dragon. What a fast speed! Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. If it were him, even with the phantom steps, he did not have the confidence to dodge it. It seemed that the fire flood dragon had really reached the end of its road. However, to his surprise, the fire Wyrm didn't dodge. That pair of eyes that were bigger than a millstone flashed with an intense murderous light. "Ants, you have completely infuriated this emperor. This emperor will not only swallow you alive today, but also kill all the humans in this mountain range." It roared towards the sky, its huge body towering in the sky. There was actually a dragon's aura that rushed out from its body. And this dragon's aura was very strong. It was as if a real dragon had appeared. Qin Feiyang and Fatso, who were far away, could not help but feel flustered. Impossible. The fire flood dragon has yet to transform into a dragon. It is impossible for it to have such a strong dragon's aura. Qin Feiyang muttered. There must be another mystery in this. It was as he had expected. He saw that a scale actually emerged from the back of the flood dragon. That scale was the size of a millstone. The entire body seemed to be cast from magma, spewing out flames. Fatso's eyes widened as he asked in surprise, "Boss, what is that?" "Dragon scale." Qin Feiyang paused after every word, his eyes shining brightly. "What? It's actually a dragon scale? Could it be that in this world, the real dragon is not a legend, but a real existence?" Fatso was dumbfounded. "I don't know if there is a real dragon in this world. But this dragon scale is not a real dragon scale, it's its fighting soul." Qin Feiyang said. "Fighting soul?" Fatso was slightly stunned. "Dragon scale fighting soul, this guy is amazing." While the two were talking, the confrontation in the sky had already begun. As soon as the millstone-sized dragon scale appeared, it was placed in front of the fire dragon like a shield. Following closely, that snowflake and blood-colored sword suddenly blasted on the dragon scale. Clang! Immediately, sparks flew everywhere. The loud sound was deafening. The snowflake and blood-colored sword shattered on the spot. Cracks also appeared on the dragon scale from the impact. Obviously, the fire dragon's fighting soul was stronger. Ants, accept this emperor's anger. The fire dragon's ferocious nature was completely exposed. The broken dragon scale cut through the sky, carrying an astonishing sharpness, and charged towards Mo Wuxian and Qin Feiyang. Their expressions changed. This fire dragon was too ridiculously strong. Up until now, they had already used all their skills and there was really no other way. But if they gave up now, wouldn't the burly man's sacrifice be in vain? Wouldn't their previous efforts be in vain? But if they continued, they would most likely follow in the burly man's footsteps. After struggling for a moment, between their lives and the alchemy fire, they resolutely chose their lives. Roar! However, just as they were about to escape, the fire dragon suddenly wailed, its eyes filled with pupils. And that dragon scale fighting soul instantly disappeared without a trace. What's the situation? This sudden change not only stunned Mo Wuxian and Qin Feiyang, but also Qin Feiyang and Fatso. Why did she suddenly scream out of nowhere? But very soon, they understood the reason. The fire dragon that was constantly wailing suddenly opened its mouth wide, and a burly man wrapped in armor rushed out from inside. "It's him." Seeing this person, Mo Wuxian and the young woman were immediately overjoyed. This person was none other than the burly man who was swallowed alive by the fire dragon. He didn't die? Fatso was dumbfounded and found it unbelievable. Qin Feiyang said, "Actually, this is nothing." Fatso's expression froze. "You were swallowed alive and still managed to escape. This is nothing?" "Back in Iron Bull Town, when I met Wolf King for the first time, I was chased by someone and jumped off a cliff, falling into a river. At that time, I was also swallowed alive by a water beast. Later on, the white-eyed wolf and I also walked out alive." Qin Feiyang said. "There's such a thing?" Fatso was stunned. "How did you guys do it?" "Actually, being swallowed alive isn't scary. What's really scary is entering the stomach of a beast. The acid in the stomach of a beast can quickly dissolve a person's body. Therefore, as long as you don't enter the stomach, your life won't be in danger. At that time, the white-eyed wolf and I were swallowed alive by the water beast. The first thing I did was grab the flesh at the throat of the water beast and stabilize my body. Luckily, I was able to escape." Qin Feiyang said. "So that's how it is." Fatso suddenly realized. It seemed that the burly man and Qin Feiyang's situation were similar. Looking at the burly man again. After escaping, he didn't hide. Standing above the fire dragon, he sneered, "Beast, you didn't expect that I would be able to walk out of your body alive." Whoosh! Mo Wuxian and the young woman immediately rushed to meet up with the burly man. Seeing this, the fire dragon's pupils constricted as a trace of fear crept into his eyes. What? Want to escape? But you're seriously injured now. Can you escape? Although the three of us are also seriously injured, we have the best quality pills. How can you fight with us? The burly man's eyes were filled with ridicule. He took out a best quality healing pill and shook it in front of the fire dragon before throwing it into his mouth. At the same time, Mo Wuxian and the young woman also took a healing pill and a bone replenishing pill respectively. The wounds on their bodies immediately healed. Even if you have the pills, you're just ants. Looking at the three of them, the fire dragon was still arrogant and his eyes were filled with disdain. Boom! After saying this, the dragon scale fighting soul appeared again and rushed towards the three of them. Its terrifying aura shook the heavens and the earth. Go all out and kill it, the burly man said. Mo Wuxian and the young woman nodded. Boom! The three fighting souls appeared at the same time. The burly man's fighting soul was actually a palm-sized mountain peak. It was yellow in color and at first glance, it looked like an ordinary stone. But its aura was extremely strong and it exuded a heavy aura. Die! The three of them roared. The blood-red sword, snowflakes, and mountain peak all rushed towards the dragon scale. At this moment, the fire dragon, who was still aggressive, suddenly turned around and began to escape. Its speed was extremely fast and in the blink of an eye, it was hundreds of meters away. Damn it! Seeing this, Mo Wuxian and the other two were furious and were about to chase after it. But at this moment, their three fighting souls collided with the dragon scale fighting soul. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, a destructive shockwave appeared and spread out in all directions. The three of them were the first to bear the brunt. Damn it! Don't force your way in. Retreat first. Mo Wuxian shouted and decisively retreated. This was because this wave of qi was enough to seriously injure them. Although they had taken the healing pill, their injuries had only recovered a little. If they were seriously injured by the qi wave, it would be equivalent to adding injuries to their injuries. At that time, they would most likely be killed by the fire dragon. Chapter 527. Damn it, damn it. It actually escaped. The brawny man was so angry that he stomped his feet. Mo Wuxian and the young woman also looked in the direction where the fire dragon disappeared with gloomy eyes. The young woman said, "We can't give up like this. Let's chase. Because if they don't chase now, they won't have a chance in the future." Mo Wuxian and the brawny man also knew this truth. Whoosh! Without hesitation, the three of them cut through the sky and rushed in the direction where the fire dragon escaped. What should we do? In the distance, Lu Yunfeng looked at Mo Wuxian and the other two and asked Pei Sanshi and the black-dressed woman. Nonsense, of course we have to chase. The black-dressed woman glared at him and quickly followed. Bootlicker. Lu Yunfeng sneered and looked at Pei Sanshi. We'd better not go. Just now, Yan Tianfeng was swallowed alive by the fire dragon. Our escape has already caused Mo Wuxian and Pan Wuyan's dissatisfaction. If we follow them now, they will definitely make things difficult for us. They might even try to kill us. So the most important thing now is not to chase after the fire dragon, but to leave the Spirit Cloud mountain range and not give them the slightest chance to kill us. After pondering for a while, Pei Sanshi said. Lu Yunfeng nodded. With the character of Mo Wuxian and the other two, they might really do such a thing. Swish! The two of them opened the portal and left the Spirit Cloud mountain range. Although the fourth-grade pill fire had a fatal temptation, if they lost their lives, it would be useless even if they got it. But as long as they were alive, there would be opportunities in the future. In the distant void, there were still many people. They were basically 6-star and 5-star combat emperors. At this moment, they also opened the portal and chose to leave the Spirit Cloud mountain range. Because the fire dragon was too strong, even the 3 great kings couldn't take it down. With their strength, running was simply sending themselves to death. Soon, there was no one in the sky. But suddenly, 2 figures soared into the sky. It was Qin Feiyang and Fatso. Fatso frowned and said, "Boss, why didn't you chase after it immediately?" Qin Feiyang said, "With our speed, we won't be able to catch up." Without a doubt, the fire dragon was definitely a 4-star combat ancestor. Although they all had auxiliary battle arts, the difference in their cultivations was too great. Even though the fire Jiao dragon was seriously injured and couldn't display its full speed, it was still not something they could compare to. If he chased after it immediately, not only would he not be able to catch up to the fire Jiao, he would also be discovered by Mo Wuxian and the other 2. Moreover, even if he caught up with the fire Jiao, he might not be able to snatch the pill fire. Therefore, instead of doing something that he had no confidence in, it was better to be an Oriole with peace of mind. He pondered for a moment. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and pulled Wolf King out. "What is it? Can't handle it? I knew it. Without me, you guys wouldn't be able to do anything." Wolf King mocked the 2 of them as soon as he came out. His eyes were filled with ridicule. "Go if you have the ability." Fatso grumbled unhappily. Still not convinced? If Brother Wolf had made a move, he would have gotten the elixir fire a long time ago, unlike the 2 of you who dilly-dallied and achieved nothing. Wolf King was disdainful. Qin Feiyang's face suddenly darkened and he said angrily, "Will you die if you don't show off? Quickly use your special skills and track them." See. In the end, I still have to do it. Wolf King smiled proudly and sniffed hard, saying, "Follow me closely, I won't wait for you." Whoosh. After saying that, the Wolf King directly used the void escape step, and like a bolt of lightning, he rushed forward explosively. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly and quickly chased after him with Fatso. Why did a wolf appear out of thin air? And its speed is so fast? There was a giant mountain in the distance. Jiao stood on the top of the mountain, looking at Qin Feiyang, Fatso and Wolf King, his eyes full of surprise. Not only was his behavior strange, but he also had so many amazing means. Was this man still Ma-san? Alas. A moment later, he let out a long sigh, opened a portal and left the Spirit Cloud mountain. He was smarter than Lu Yunfeng and the other 2. If Lu Yunfeng and the other 2 could think of it, he could naturally think of it too. If the fire dragon was killed here, he might still have a chance. Because once the fire dragon died, Qin Feiyang and Mo Wuxian would definitely fight, and he could take advantage of the chaos to fish in troubled waters. But now, the fire dragon, the 3 kings, Qin Feiyang and the others left one after another. With his speed, he wouldn't even have the chance to blow away the dust. If he continued to follow, it would only be a waste of time. So it was better to leave as soon as possible. After all, in this deep mountain, there were fierce beasts stronger than him everywhere. The slightest carelessness would cause him to lose his life. Above a giant mountain, a fiery red stream of light flashed past. It was the fire dragon. Damn human, how dare you hurt this emperor? When this emperor recovers, if I don't kill all of you, I swear I won't be a dragon. Its eyes flashed fiercely as it scanned the front. One could vaguely see a flame on the horizon ahead. As the distance got closer, the flame became more and more obvious. It was a lake. The lake was very big, covering an area of 5 to 6 miles. But the difference was that it wasn't water, but magma. The crimson-red magma was boiling inside, illuminating half the sky. The scorching heat enveloped all directions, and the land within a few miles was like a big furnace, barren. The nearby mountains and rivers were also dark red and extremely hot. One could smell a very unpleasant smell from afar. Whoosh! Behind the fire dragon, Wuxian and the other two chased closely. Moreover, their speed was almost the same as the fire dragon. It was obvious that they had all mastered high-grade auxiliary battle arts. Although high-grade auxiliary battle arts were rare in the 9 prefectures, it wasn't that they didn't exist. For example, Fatso's returning to one was obtained from the martial arts treasury in the inner palace. As for Wuxian and the other two, they were all kings of the inner palace in the Yun prefecture. Wuxian was the direct disciple of the palace master, so it wasn't surprising that he had mastered high-grade auxiliary battle arts. But when the three of them saw the magma lake, their expressions changed. Magma lake. What is it doing here? This magma lake seemed to have an incredible origin. The three of them were filled with fear. Not long later, the fire dragon arrived above the magma lake, turned around to look at Wuxian and the other two, and sneered, "Lowly humans, if you have the ability, then follow me in." Finished. It swooped down and plunged into the magma lake, disappearing without a trace. Wuxian and the other two quickly arrived at the magma lake. However, they did not approach the lake. Instead, they landed on a nearby mountain peak and looked down at the boiling lake with an extremely ugly expression. "What should we do?" the brawny man asked. "This is the territory of the fire bull. If we make a move here, I'm afraid it will be very disadvantageous to us," the young woman said in a deep voice. At the mention of the fire bull, the three of them felt exceptionally heavy. Previous chapter. Next chapter, boom. But at this time, Wuxian's aura suddenly erupted. The brawny man and the young woman both looked at him in surprise. "So what if there is a fire bull?" "It is only a war master, what are you afraid of?" Wuxian laughed coldly. "Don't be rash. If it was only the fire bull, with our strength, we would not be afraid of it. But now, not only is there a fire bull here, there is also that damned fire dragon. If the two of them join hands, even if we can kill them, we will definitely have to sacrifice ourselves. Moreover, our injuries have not healed yet. If we fight with them now, the situation will be very disadvantageous to us." "That's right, even if you want to kill us, you have to wait until we recover from our injuries and recover to our peak state," the young woman and the brawny man hurriedly advised. "When we recover to our peak state, the fire dragon will also recover. At that time, it will be even harder to deal with. When the fire bull comes out, I will restrain it. You guys go and deal with the fire dragon." Wuxian was swift and decisive. He did as he said and pointed his index finger in the air. Boom! A blood-colored battle chi shot out, bringing with it an astonishing power as it blasted into the magma lake. Accompanied by a loud sound, the magma lake immediately set off huge waves. Moo! Following closely, an angry roar sounded. Whiz! A huge beast rushed out from the magma, its ferocious might shaking the world. In this place, a strong wind suddenly rose and flames rushed into the sky. When Wuxian and the other two saw the beast, their pupils could not help but shrink. The beast was incomparably tall and its appearance was similar to a bull. However, its body was covered with fiery red hair and its two bell-like eyes emitted a terrifying ferocious light. The fire bull glanced at the three of them and said in a muffled voice, "Lowly humans, you dare to offend my majesty. Do you want to die?" Wuxian said, "Hand over the fire dragon and we will leave immediately. Otherwise, we will not rest until we die today." "Not rest until we die? Do you think I am afraid of you?" The fire bull's eyes were filled with disdain. It strode forward with its thick hooves and charged towards the three of them fiercely. "Act according to the plan and end this quickly." Wuxian's face darkened. He coldly shouted at the brawny man and the young woman and went up to meet it. Boom! In an instant, his body was surrounded by killing intent as if he was bathed in blood. At the same time, the brawny man and the young woman gritted their teeth and charged towards the magma lake. Courting death. The fire bull roared, its voice like a bell. Immediately, a flame rushed out from its body, covering the sky and pouncing towards the two of them. Your opponent is me. Mo Wuxian took a step forward. Blood-colored battle chi surged crazily and pounced towards the flame. Boom! The two collided. Mo Wuxian was sent flying on the spot and spat out blood. On the other hand, the fire bull's huge body stood proudly in the air and did not move at all. The gap between them was immediately revealed. Although Mo Wuxian was injured, it was undeniable that the fire bull's strength was stronger than the fire dragon's. This was an extremely terrifying opponent. But because of this, the brawny man and the young woman successfully entered the magma lake. Although the magma had an extremely high temperature and could instantly burn living things into ashes, it was only limited to ordinary living things. To experts at the level of a war master, it was no longer a threat. You humans all deserve to die. Wait for me to kill them, then I will deal with you. The fire bull looked at Mo Wuxian with a murderous gaze and charged towards the magma lake. With me here, don't even think about going anywhere. Mo Wuxian's expression was cold and the killing intent on his body was even stronger than before. Boom! He used an auxiliary technique and in the blink of an eye, he was below the fire bull. The blood-colored battle chi in his chi si surged out like a river of blood. 7 killing arts, slash. Following his low roar, 7 blood blades appeared and slashed towards the fire bull with a shocking sharpness. Ant. Since you want to die, I will kill you first. The fire bull charged and actually used its head to smash into the 7 blood blades. Boom! Immediately, the fire bull's head was broken and bleeding. However, the 7 blood blades were forcibly shattered by it. Mo Wuxian's body trembled and fell towards the magma lake below. Blood kept spurting out of his mouth and his face was pale. Did you see that? This is my strength. You ant, you are delusional to think that you can shake my power. You are simply courting death. Die for this emperor. The fire bull roared like thunder and its 4 iron hooves stomped towards Mo Wuxian's head. That terrifying aura made Mo Wuxian's hair stand. Swoosh! He hurriedly took a step forward, narrowly avoiding this calamity. But at the same time, the fire bull raised its tail and with a smack, it slapped his face. Mo Wuxian was sent flying by the tail. His face was lacerated and blood flowed out. However, although he was in pain, Mo Wuxian did not scream. He did not even make a sound. But at this moment, his eyes had completely changed. Within his pupils, a wave of blood quickly emerged, and his 2 eyeballs instantly turned blood red. It was like a pair of devil's eyes that were filled with cold blood light. It was extremely terrifying. Moreover, his snow-white hair was also quickly soaked in blood. Seeing this, the fire bull could not help but be surprised. At the same time, in the distant void, a black figure broke through the air. It was the lady in the black dress. What's going on? Why did senior brother Mo suddenly become like this? Why haven't I seen him before? But when she noticed the change in Mo Wuxian, she suddenly stopped in the void and her face was filled with shock. And behind the lady in the black dress, there was a giant mountain. At the peak of the giant mountain, Qin Feiyang and Fatso stood side by side. Wolf King was lying on Qin Feiyang's shoulder and looked at Mo Wuxian in surprise. The current Mo Wuxian, whether it was his aura or temperament, was completely different from the previous Mo Wuxian. Blood-red hair. Blood-red eyes. His blood aura surged to the sky. If the previous Mo Wuxian was like a god of death, then the current Mo Wuxian was a living god of death. Boom! Suddenly, Mo Wuxian stabilized his body and turned around to stare at the fire bull. The blood that flowed out and the burning sensation on his face constantly reminded him that this was the greatest humiliation of his life, and it almost drove him crazy. Suddenly. He raised his head and roared angrily. His blood-red hair was like a river of blood floating behind him. Pain, I'm not afraid. Death, I'm not afraid. But hitting my face is trampling on my dignity, trampling on my character. Whether it's a human or a beast, I can't let them off. His killing intent was like a tide. He took a step across the sky and punched at the fire bull. Humph. Didn't you just change your appearance? Do you think you can scare me? The fire bull smiled disdainfully. Its huge body leaped high and its iron hooves stepped on Mo Wuxian's fist. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, Mo Wuxian was directly blasted away. His arms shattered and blood splashed in the sky. Why didn't his strength improve? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. He originally thought that the current Mo Wuxian would be stronger than before, but now it seemed that there was no change. Could it be that this change was purely due to anger? But that wasn't the case. Mo Wuxian, who was blasted away, stabilized his body again. However, he seemed to have calmed down and didn't charge around like before. He looked at the fire bull and said, "Actually, it's very simple to kill you." Simple? The fire bull was slightly taken aback and sneered, "Is there something wrong with your head? With your little ability, you still dare to say such arrogant words?" Mo Wuxian didn't speak again. Boom! Chapter 528. That strand of killing intent soared into the sky, and 7 blood blades instantly appeared. Every blade was 1,000 feet long. They were like giant blood-red scythes that emitted an unparalleled ferocious aura. Qin Feiyang frowned. These 7 blood blades had indeed become a lot bigger, but the aura was no different from before. What kind of trick was this Mo Wuxian playing? 7 killing art, 7 killing as one. But at this moment, as Mo Wuxian spoke coldly, the 7 blood blades collided and merged together. Clang! The next moment, a blood blade that was more than 1,000 feet long appeared out of nowhere. It was like a blood moon, lying in the sky, releasing an aura that could destroy the world. The moment this blood blade appeared, whether it was Hunyao or the woman in black, their expressions changed. Even Qin Feiyang and Wolf King's pupils could not help but shrink. Because the aura of this blood blade had obviously soared by a lot, and it was close to the critical point of a perfect battle art. Beast, pay the price for your previous actions. Mo Wuxian roared into the sky, his blood-red hair dancing in the wind. With a wave of his hand, the blood blade trembled and slashed towards Hunyao. Do you think I'm stupid? Stand here and let you kill me? Hunyao sneered. His body was huge but extremely agile, and he calmly dodged. The blood blade brushed past him and slashed towards the magma lake below. Hunyao was about to mock him. However, before he could open his mouth, the blood blade turned in the air and swept towards him again. What's going on? Hunyao was shocked. 7 killing as one has the ability to lock onto the opponent. As long as you are locked onto by the aura of the blood blade, you can only resolve it head-on. Otherwise, no matter where you escape to, you will be chased to the end. Mo Wuxian smiled coldly. He had full confidence in the lethality of this blood blade. Resolve it head-on? Hunyao's eyes shone fiercely when he heard this, and said, "Then let me see how strong your strongest attack is." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, its enormous body began to swell with the wind. In the blink of an eye, a colossus that was hundreds of meters tall had appeared. It was like a lofty mountain that stood in the sky, and its ferocious might intimidated the surroundings. Damn, is this its true form? Fatso was dumbfounded. A very strong guy. Wolf King mumbled. It was very rare to hear these words come out of its mouth. Be destroyed, ant, The flaming bull let out a roar as its iron hooves stomped through the air. Its entire body was wrapped in flames, and it was like a resplendent meteor as it charged towards the blood blade. Rumble. The two collided. A loud explosion resounded, shaking the heavens and the earth. Moo. At the same time, a roar of pain sounded. The blood blade tore through the fire bull's defense and pierced its head, causing blood to gush out. Huanyo started to panic. Boom. His battle chi surged out without reservation and blasted towards the blood blade. Crack. The blood blade immediately began to crumble. Human, you're going to die. Huanyo roared, and a horn that was 100 meters long emerged from its back. It was crimson red as if it was cast from magma, and it was curved. This was its fighting soul. Boom. The horn trembled violently, releasing a terrifying aura as it charged towards Mo Wuxian. You're the one who's going to die today. Mo Wuxian was also enraged. The war soul's blood-red small sword soared into the sky from his back, and with a monstrous blood-red light, it slashed towards the bull's horns. Boom. The two fighting souls were evenly matched, and they were in a stalemate in the air. Interesting. If this continues, it will definitely end in a lose-lose situation. Wolf King smirked. Qin Feiyang said, Mo Wuxian's strength is not simple. If he's in his peak state, Huanyo will definitely not be his opponent. Fatso frowned. I'm curious. Why didn't Mo Wuxian use his full strength when dealing with Huanyo at the beginning? If he used his full strength at that time, Huanyo would definitely not be able to escape, and he would not be fighting with Huanyo now. Qin Feiyang said, he should be guarding against Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan. Although the three of them had reached an agreement, they were all secretly plotting against each other, so they had to be careful. 3 breaths passed. With a loud crack, the blood-red sword began to shatter, but the horn was still intact. But at the same time, the broken blood blade also shattered Huanyo's skull, and blood flowed like a waterfall. From this, it could be seen. In the battle between fighting souls, Huanyo had the upper hand. However, the lethality of the blood blade was obviously stronger than Huanyo's defense. But in comparison, Huanyo was in greater danger. Because the blood blade had already threatened its life. And Mo Wuxian's fighting soul's blood-red sword, even if it was shattered, it would at most cause Mo Wuxian serious injuries, and would not threaten his life. Therefore, Huanyo was even more flustered. It even had the thought of compromising. But it was unwilling. As the emperor of this area, it was a great humiliation to surrender to a human. Crack. The blood blade went a few inches deeper, and was about to reach Huanyo's sea of consciousness. This time, Huanyo did not dare to hesitate. Human, if we continue to fight like this, it will not benefit anyone. Why don't we stop at the same time? As for the fire dragon, I don't care anymore. You can do whatever you want. Huanyo said. Dream on. Mo Wuxian's eyes were filled with killing intent. The burning wound on his face constantly reminded him that if he did not kill Huanyo, the humiliation would not disappear. Human, don't bully others too much. Huanyo was furious. As a beast emperor, it had already put down its pride and took the initiative to compromise. What else did Mo Wuxian want? Mo Wuxian smiled coldly, and the blood blade's edge was oppressive, directly attacking Huanyo's sea of consciousness. Since you want to fight to the death, then let's die together. Feeling the threat of death, Huanyo was completely enraged. The horn suddenly burst into flames, like a dazzling sun, and quickly shattered the blood-red sword, crazily attacking Mo Wuxian. At the same time, the blood blade also tore apart the last layer of flesh, and attacked Huanyo's sea of consciousness. One man and one beast were competing in speed. Whoever was faster would win. What will the result be? Qin Feiyang muttered. It's best to die together. Fatso laughed. Whether or not we will die together, I don't know. But what's certain is that even if one side can survive, they won't be able to make any waves. Wolf King laughed sinisterly. Because until now, whether it was Imo Wuxian or Hunyou, both of them were greatly injured. In the blink of an eye. Just as the horn was about to hit Imo Wuxian, Hunyou suddenly howled, filled with endless pain and despair. The next moment, the horn disappeared into thin air. Die. At this moment, Imo Wuxian roared, taking advantage of the victory to pursue. The broken blood blade bloomed with a dazzling blood light, illuminating half the sky. Gotcha! Then, it actually cut Hunyou's huge body into two halves. Blood poured down like a waterfall, dyeing the sky red. Obviously, Imo Wuxian's divine skill was better. After killing Hunyou, the blood blade also reached its limit and shattered. At the same time, Imo Wuxian's body swayed, and he chased down powerlessly. Seeing this, the black-dressed woman's face suddenly changed. She hurriedly flew over, hugged Imo Wuxian, and took out a healing pill and fed it to Imo Wuxian. And the two halves of Hunyou's body fell into the magma lake, and soon burned to ashes. Wolf King said, "Little Qin Zi, it's time to make a move, right?" Fatso rolled his eyes and said, "What's the hurry? Can't you see that Hunyou hasn't appeared yet?" "Indeed, we can't be too hasty," Qin Feiyang said. Although Imo Wuxian was not a worry now, and Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan were seriously injured, but after all, he did not know much about the three of them. What if they were hiding some amazing means? Uncle Yuan once warned him that no matter what, he could not let his guard down, and he had always remembered it in his heart. Above the magma lake, Imo Wuxian's blood-red hair and eyes had returned to normal. After he recovered, he looked at the black-dressed woman and asked, "You saw it all?" The black-dressed woman nodded. Imo Wuxian pondered for a while and said, "Keep it a secret for me." "Okay." The black-dressed woman responded, but she looked like she wanted to say something. "What do you want to ask?" Imo Wuxian said. The black-dressed woman said, "Senior brother Imo, if I'm not wrong, the power of your 7 kills in one seems to have surpassed the category of a superior battle art?" "You're right. The power of the 7 kills in one is infinitely close to a perfect battle art. And the 7 kills art is also a top-tier battle art. Master gave it to me back then, but in order to guard against Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan, I have never used it," Imo Wuxian said. The black-dressed woman came to a realization and nodded, "Senior brother Imo, don't worry, I will keep it a secret." Imo Wuxian smiled, looked down at the magma lake below, and swallowed another supreme healing pill. "When they come out, don't say that I'm seriously injured. Otherwise, when they know, they might take the opportunity to kill me. If they really do that, you will also die. Because in this way, there will be no evidence. Even if Master knows about my death and wants to investigate, there will be no way to do so." Imo Wuxian looked at the black-dressed woman and said, "I understand." The black-dressed woman said, "These people really do one thing in front of others and another behind others' backs." Fatso sneered. "Isn't it the same in the spiritual state inner palace? As long as there are people, there will definitely be scheming. Especially those who are stronger, their ambitions and desires will be greater." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He had long been used to such things. Boom! Splash! All of a sudden, in the eastern region of the magma lake, there was a loud bang, followed by huge waves. At the same time, there was a strong battle fluctuation. Everyone knew that Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan were fighting with the fire dragon under the magma lake. The black-dressed woman said worriedly, "Will they fail?" "They won't. If the fire dragon is not injured, they will definitely not be a match for it. But now, the fire dragon is just an arrow at the end of its flight." Imo Wuxian's eyes lit up. He was very confident in Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan. The only thing he was worried about now was whether the two of them would see his current situation after killing the fire dragon. The battle at the bottom of the lake did not last long. Whoosh! Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen rushed out of the magma lake one after another. And in Yan Tianfeng's palm, there was a cluster of flames. It was the size of a palm and exuded an extremely high temperature. Seeing the flames, Mo Wuxian's eyes lit up immediately. But then, he covered it up. He forced himself to be calm and acted as if nothing had happened. As soon as Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen appeared and saw that the fire dragon was gone, they were stunned. Whoosh! The two of them flew to Mo Wuxian and asked doubtfully, "Where's the fire dragon?" Mo Wuxian said, "I killed it." "What? You can kill it?" The two of them stared at Mo Wuxian in shock. One had to know. The fire dragon was at its peak state, but Mo Wuxian was seriously injured. Originally, they thought that even if Mo Wuxian could restrain the fire dragon, it would be difficult to do so. However, they did not expect that Mo Wuxian would actually kill it. How did he do it? Mo Wuxian pointed at the woman in the black dress and said indifferently, "Actually, this is all thanks to her. She sneaked an attack on the fire dragon at the critical moment, giving me the opportunity to kill the fire dragon in one blow." "Why did you take so long to kill the fire dragon?" Mo Wuxian adding this sentence was actually to change the topic. Her. Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen looked at the woman in the black dress suspiciously. A mere 8-star war emperor, even if it was a sneak attack, it didn't seem to be able to cause any fatal damage to the fire dragon. However, this seemed to be the only explanation. With that thought, the two of them did not think too much about it. Yan Tianfeng said helplessly, "There's no other way. The magma lake is too big. It hid here and there with us. It was not easy to catch it. Here you go." Finished. Yan Tianfeng handed the pill fire to Mo Wuxian. "Looks like we haven't been discovered." Mo Wuxian's eyes flashed and he was about to reach out to take the pill fire. Mo Wuxian is pretending to be fine now. In fact, his Yuan Qi has been greatly injured in the battle with the fire dragon. But at this moment, a playful voice suddenly sounded from below. It was Wolf King's voice. At this moment, Qin Feiyang, Fatso, and Wolf King had already left the mountain peak and were hiding behind a rock on the shore of the magma lake. "Who is it? Damn it!" Mo Wuxian and the woman in the black dresses' faces darkened. Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen's pupils constricted as a trace of suspicion crept up in their hearts. Mo Wuxian's Yuan Qi was greatly injured? Didn't that mean that he no longer had the strength to fight? Wasn't this a good opportunity to kill him? Immediately, a trace of dense killing intent flashed past their eyes. But at this moment, Mo Wuxian's right hand shot out and grabbed the pill fire. He turned around and was about to escape. This action undoubtedly proved that Mo Wuxian had indeed suffered a serious injury. "Mo Wuxian, today is the day you die." Seeing this, Yan Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen's killing intent rose and they attacked without hesitation. Yan Tianfeng chased after him with a step. Battle Qi surged on his fist as he punched towards Mo Wuxian's back. At the same time, Pan Wuyen also decisively attacked the woman in the black dress. Even though Pan Wuyen's injuries were severe, the woman in the black dress was after all an 8-star combat emperor. The gap between them was too big. Without any suspense, she was killed by a palm strike. Her body fell into the magma lake and turned into ashes in a few blinks of an eye. Not even her bones were left. "Yan Tianfeng, Pan Wuyen, do you want to die?" Mo Wuxian roared. He wasn't the woman in the black dress. He couldn't just sit there and wait for death. He turned around and mobilized his remaining battle qi and strength to punch Yan Tianfeng. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, Mo Wuxian was sent flying. He spat out blood and his face was pale. The pill fire also flew out of his hand and shot downwards. "Pan Wuyen, quickly go and get the pill fire. Don't let the person in the dark take it away. I'll go and kill Mo Wuxian." Yan Tianfeng roared and madly rushed towards Mo Wuxian. His body was filled with killing intent and his face revealed a cruel smile. Pan Wuyen also swooped down towards the pill fire. Her eyes were also filled with a bone-piercing killing intent. As long as Mo Wuxian was dead, the inner palace would belong to her and Yen Tianfeng from then on. Moreover, she might even have the chance to replace Mo Wuxian and become the palace master's personal disciple. However, at this moment, a black figure shot out from the lake below like a bolt of lightning and grabbed the elixir fire before Pan Wuyen could. Pan Wuyen was stunned and instantly locked onto the black figure. She suddenly said in surprise, "Ma-san, why are you here?" Qin Feiyang glanced at the pill fire excitedly. He raised his head and looked at Pan Wuyen. He smiled faintly and said, "As a qualified Oriole, first of all, you must learn to endure. Secondly, you must learn to create opportunities and grasp them well." He had been holding himself back all this time, waiting for this moment. Wolf King's reminder to Yen Tianfeng and Yen Tianfeng was also deliberately instigated. And all of this was done quite well, allowing him to obtain the alchemy fire without any effort. Similarly, these words were also mocking Pan Wuyen and Yen Tianfeng. If they had endured and not fallen out with Mo Wuxian, then he wouldn't have had this opportunity. Although he would definitely be able to get the pill fire in the end, it definitely wouldn't be so easy. Chapter 529. Oriole. Pan Wuyen stared at Qin Feiyang as if she had turned into an iceberg. Her entire body was filled with bone-chilling cold. "Quickly kill him and take back the elixir fire," Yen Tianfeng shouted. "Ma-san, help me. I guarantee that you will enjoy endless glory and wealth for the rest of your life. You will even have the chance to enter the capital with me." At the same time, Mo Wuxian also asked Qin Feiyang for help and offered very tempting conditions. "You're courting death." Yen Tianfeng was furious. His eyes were filled with ferocity as he slammed his palm on Mo Wuxian's chest. "Ah!" Mo Wuxian immediately screamed as his chest caved in. Like a meteorite, he shot towards the mountain below. "Ma-san, as long as you are willing to help me, the matter of you killing my brother will be written off. Not only that, I will also owe you a favor. I will repay you double in the future." Mo Wuxian roared. Obviously, Yen Tianfeng and Pan Wuyen were determined to kill him. If there were other people here, he would definitely not ask Qin Feiyang for help. Because he also hated Qin Feiyang. But now, he had no choice but to put down his pride to save his life. Double in the future? Hearing Mo Wuxian's words, Qin Feiyang shook his head and sneered. Although he had not known Mo Wuxian for long, he could tell that he was a vengeful person. He was sure that once Mo Wuxian was free and recovered from his injuries, he would come to find trouble with him immediately. If he really helped him now, it would be tantamount to nurturing a tiger. He would not be so stupid. Boom! With a loud sound, Mo Wuxian smashed into the ground and a deep pit appeared. Mo Wuxian was lying inside, on the verge of death, unable to move at all. Yen Tianfeng turned into a ray of light and flew towards the deep pit. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang also retracted his gaze and looked at Pan Wuyen. He smiled faintly and said, "How about we talk?" "Talk?" Pan Wuyen looked at Qin Feiyang as if looking at an idiot and said, "What right do you have to talk to me? However, if you are willing to give me the alchemy fire, I can consider talking with you." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "You can't be so stubborn. Otherwise, you might be overturned." Turn the tables? Are you saying that you can turn the tables? Or are you saying that Mo Wuxian can make a comeback? How laughably naive. Let me tell you, both of you will die today. Pan Wuyen's eyes were brimming with killing intent. A terrifying pressure rushed towards Qin Feiyang. She said disdainfully, "I don't even need to do anything to kill a piece of trash like you. My pressure is enough to destroy you 1,000 times over." Boom! The pressure enveloped Qin Feiyang, and he was immediately imprisoned. Die! Pan Wuyan let out a cold shout, and the pressure immediately pressed down on Qin Feiyang from all directions. I am now an 8-star combat emperor. What can the pressure of a mere 1-star battle ancestor do to me? Qin Feiyang mumbled. He suddenly looked up at the sky and roared, break for me. Boom! Immediately, he broke free from the shackles of the pressure, turned around in the air, and rushed towards the lake below. At the same time, Fatso also walked out from behind the stone and opened a portal. Fatso had been hiding there the entire time, in order to help Qin Feiyang. As for Wolf King, before Qin Feiyang made his move, he had already sent it to the castle. Because Qin Feiyang had no intention of fighting to the death with Mo Wuxian and the other two. Therefore, if he let Wolf King continue to stay outside, it would be a waste of time. How is this possible? At the same time, seeing that her pressure had been broken by Qin Feiyang, Pan Wuyan's face was filled with disbelief. Could it be that this guy was also a war master? But there was no time to think. Because she had also seen Fatso and the portal. She knew that the two of them were planning to escape with the pill fire. If the pill fire was taken away just like that, wouldn't everything they had done during this period of time be in vain? She would absolutely not allow such a thing to happen. Zhang Lu, Ma-san, if you know what's good for you, give me the pill fire immediately. Otherwise, even if I return to the inner hall, I will not let you off. With a cold shout, the frost vortex above her head appeared again, and an ice elephant roared out, carrying a monstrous ferocious aura as it rushed towards the portal. Treasures belong to those who are capable. Do you have the ability? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, turned around, and slapped the air. The return formula reappeared. A dazzling golden light burst out from his palm, turning into a rolling torrent that crashed into the ice elephant. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, Qin Feiyang's entire arm shattered on the spot, and blood spurted out from his mouth, his face pale. He was seriously injured in one blow. War masters are indeed powerful. But Qin Feiyang grinned at Pan Wuyan, and with the help of this impact, quickly landed in front of the portal. Boss, are you okay? Fatso looked at him worriedly. I won't die. Qin Feiyang shook his head, looked up at Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng, and waved, both of you, see you next time. With that, he entered the portal without looking back. Hurry up and kill Mo Wuxian. Or else, when we return to the inner hall, you will be killed by Mo Wuxian before you can kill us. Fatty also laughed sinisterly at the two of them, then turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, the portal disappeared. Damn it! Seeing this, Yen Tianfeng was instantly enraged, and shouted, Pan Wuyan, you can't even deal with 2 pieces of trash, what's the use of you? If you have the ability, go ahead. Pan Wuyan was also burning with anger. Humph! If it were him, they would not be able to escape. However, they are not a concern for now. Let's deal with Mo Wuxian first, and then we will deal with them when we return to the inner hall. Yen Tianfeng snorted. Mo Wuxian was the biggest threat. If he did not die now, there would be endless trouble in the future. Whoosh! Strong murderous intent appeared in their eyes, and they rushed towards Mo Wuxian at the same time. Mo Wuxian did not escape. As he had been injured repeatedly, he no longer had the strength to escape. His body was covered in blood, and he struggled to get up. Looking at Yen Tianfeng, he said gloomily, I have always treated you well, but you treat me like this, do you still have a conscience? Treated us well? Are you joking? Go and ask everyone, who doesn't know that you are just using us? Pan Wuyan sneered. Cut the crap, kill him quickly. Yen Tianfeng was not only a ruthless person, but also a very cautious person. To prevent any accidents from happening, he immediately killed. However, just as Mo Wuxian was about to die, he suddenly disappeared without a trace. What happened? Yan Tianfeng and Yan Tianfeng's eyes widened in anger, and they looked around, their faces extremely gloomy. At the same time, in the sky above a forest, Qin Feiyang and Fatso appeared out of thin air. "Boss, are you really okay?" Looking at Qin Feiyang, whose arm was shattered, Fatso was very worried. "It's okay." Qin Feiyang smiled. He took out a regeneration pill and a healing pill and swallowed them. Then, he entered the castle. As soon as the alchemy fire appeared, the nether demonic flame automatically recovered and quickly swallowed the alchemy fire. Its aura skyrocketed again. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. With another Tier 4 alchemy fire, the nether demonic flame could be promoted to Tier 5 alchemy fire. At that time, he could only refine an elixir with 4 alchemy patterns. Fatso asked, "Boss, where are we going to get alchemy fire now?" "Yunzhou Inner Hall." Qin Feiyang said without hesitation. "What?" Fatso's expression froze. Lin Yi opened her eyes and frowned. "Brother Feiyang, there are many powerhouses in the spiritual state's inner hall. Yunzhou must be the same. Aren't you taking a risk? There are still 4 months before the Battle of 9 States. I don't have time to waste. I must speed up. Right now, only the alchemy fire in Yunzhou Inner Hall is the fastest shortcut." Qin Feiyang said. Wolf King smiled and said, "Brother supports you. Can you not add to the trouble?" Lin Yi looked at it helplessly. "Am I adding to the trouble? I'm just telling the truth. If I didn't come to Yunzhou, it would be a different story. But since I'm already here, I naturally can't let go of every opportunity. What's more, it's just an inner hall. What are you afraid of?" Wolf King was disdainful. "Isn't it just an inner hall?" Fatso and others were speechless. Perhaps only this fearless ruffian wolf would dare to say such arrogant words. "Well, I have made up my mind. Don't worry about it. Just focus on cultivation. Fatso, let's go." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and appeared above the jungle with Fatso. They glanced below. In the distance, there was a battle fluctuation. The two crossed the sky like lightning and stopped over a mountain ridge. They looked down and saw a young man in black fighting with a fierce beast. Qin Feiyang pointed his finger in the air. His battle aura emerged and turned into a fiery red arrow. It instantly penetrated the head of the fierce beast. The young man in black was taken aback. He looked up at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi, and his expression changed on the spot. He bowed and said, "Greetings, 3rd Senior Brother Ma, 6th Senior Brother Zhang." The various deeds of the two in the mountain range had long been known to everyone. Now in the eyes of the inner hall, Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi were the most untouchable existences except for the 3 kings. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "The alchemy fire has appeared, and the experiential learning should be over. Why don't you return to the inner hall with us? Together?" The young man in black was stunned for a while before he came back to his senses. He hurriedly nodded and said, okay. It's my fortune to be able to travel with you too." Qin Feiyang was a little stunned. Wasn't this too exaggerated? He asked, "Do you have a portal on you?" "Yes." The young man in black nodded and asked instinctively, "Don't you have one?" "I've used it up." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "So that's why you want to travel with me?" The young man in black mumbled, but he was not dissatisfied at all. Instead, he felt honored. Whoosh! The young man in black flew to Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi, took out a portal and quickly opened it. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other and walked in one after another. In fact, it was not that there was no portal, but that they did not know the coordinates of the inner hall. That was why they found this person. Soon, the 3 of them landed in the sky above a plain. The plain was extremely vast, with a radius of a few miles. There were no trees, but it was full of green weeds, showing a lively scene. Below, there were many young men and women gathered, and their strength was above the War Emperor realm. However, all of them were disheveled and covered in blood. On the other side of the plain, there was a narrow entrance, and inside the entrance was an endless mountain range. Chapter 530. Qin Feiyang glanced at the guards and then looked at the crowd below. Some familiar faces entered his line of sight. Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sancher, He Jiu, Su Wei, Yulan. In addition to these 5 people, there were some people he had seen before but didn't know their names. At the same time, when these people saw Qin Feiyang and Fatso appear, they immediately had deep fear and awe in their eyes. Many people even began to step back instinctively. Am I that scary? Qin Feiyang was quite helpless. He turned his head and looked at the mountain behind the entrance with a trace of doubt in his eyes. This is the inner hall? But it doesn't look like it. Whoosh! He swooped down and landed beside He Jiu. Now, his every action tugged at the nerves of everyone present. When he was there, everyone's eyes were there. Those who were standing near He Jiu immediately stepped back in fear. He Jiu also looked at Qin Feiyang nervously. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He said, "Senior brother Ma San, what can I do for you?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "I think we are destined to meet, so I want to talk to you more." Destined? To hell with it. He Jiu's face twitched. He immediately cursed in his heart. But on the surface, there was no change in his expression. He said with a flattering smile, "Senior brother, if you have any questions, just ask. I will answer truthfully. Where is this? Why are we gathered here?" Qin Feiyang asked. His voice was so low that only the 2 of them could hear. He Jiu was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang strangely and whispered, "Senior brother, don't tell me you have amnesia?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He Jiu clearly felt the cold light. He couldn't help but feel cold. He hurriedly said, "This is the entrance of the Spirit Cloud Mountain. Everyone is gathered here under the order of the Mansion Master." Why did the Mansion Master say so? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. "I don't know either." He Jiu shook his head. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Suddenly, He Jiu thought of something and asked, "Senior brother, did you get the elixir fire?" This sentence was not deliberately concealed, and the surrounding crowd heard it clearly. Immediately, everyone's eyes narrowed. Lu Yunfeng and the other 2 also stared fixedly at Qin Feiyang. Even the 10 guards looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. Qin Feiyang smiled but said nothing. Seeing this, everyone was bewildered. What did this smile mean? Could it be that he managed to snatch it? But that's not right. No matter how strong this person was, he was only a battle emperor. How could he snatch the alchemy fire from the hands of 3 king warriors? Swish! At this moment, a man and a woman appeared out of thin air above the plains. Qin Feiyang looked up and the corners of his mouth curled into a playful smile. These 2 people were none other than Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng. And because of the arrival of these 2 people, everyone's gaze finally shifted away from Qin Feiyang. Since Ma San did not get the alchemy fire must be with these 2 people. But what about Mo Wuxian? Weren't the 3 of them together? Why did only 2 people come back? But very quickly, they realized that something was wrong again. Because Yen Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan's expressions were extremely ugly, and there was not the slightest bit of joy on their faces. What's going on? Everyone was suspicious. Ayaya, isn't this senior brother Yen and senior sister Pan? Why are all of your faces so dark? Who ate the guts of a leopard to provoke you to such an extent? Suddenly, a mocking voice sounded out. Everyone looked at Fatso with a strange gaze. Was this guy stupid? He actually dared to speak to the 2 of them like that. Did he really think that with Ma San's protection, he could be lawless? At the same time, When Pan Wuyen and Pan Wuyen looked at Qin Feiyang and Fatso in the crowd, the killing intent in their eyes immediately burst out. Senior brother, senior sister, why are you looking at me like that? I didn't offend you. Fatso looked at the two of them innocently, but his eyes were filled with playfulness. I'm going to kill you. The monstrous anger in Yan Tianfeng's heart could no longer be controlled and suddenly burst out. He raised his big hand and his battle chi surged. A huge yellow hand instantly appeared out of nowhere. Boom! Immediately after, the huge hand slapped towards Qin Feiyang and Pan Wuyen. He Jiao and the others' faces changed. Like birds startled by the twang of a bow, they immediately fled in a panic. Yan Tianfeng, don't fight here. But at this time, a black armored guard at the entrance shouted. However, Yan Tianfeng turned a deaf ear. Now that he had been overwhelmed by anger, how could he listen to it? You're not as good as others. Instead of reflecting on yourself, you come here to bite people. What's the difference between you and a wild dog? Qin Feiyang looked up at Yan Tianfeng with a sarcastic look. Then he waved his big hand and shook off Fatso. Then he ran the return formula and slapped in the air. A golden light surged out, dazzling. What? He still dares to fight senior brother Yan? Seeing this scene, the people present widened their eyes in anger and disbelief. Boom! The golden light was like a tide as it collided with the giant hand. Immediately, Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood. The ground under his feet cracked like a spider web. At the same time, the huge hand was also stopped in the void by the golden light. But the next moment, under everyone's horrified gaze, the huge hand turned in the air and attacked Yan Tianfeng. What's going on? Yan Tianfeng was so shocked that he couldn't even speak clearly. In the blink of an eye, the huge hand arrived in front of Yan Tianfeng and slapped him away on the spot. His screams resounded through the sky. How did this happen? That's way too weird. Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. It could actually reflect the opponent's attack. What kind of battle skill was this? Why had they never heard of it? Qin Feiyang glanced at Yan Tianfeng and looked at Pan Wuyen, who was also in a daze. He said lightly, one must know how to restrain oneself. Don't be like a fly that makes people hate you. Boom! Pan Wuyen's eyes turned cold and cold air emerged from her body. Above her head, the vortex appeared again. Chirp! The next moment, following a sharp cry, an ice phoenix rushed out with a ferocious aura around its body. Ma-san, I want you to die without a burial place. Pan Wuyen let out a stern shout. The ice phoenix spread its wings, and its ferocious might surged through the heavens and the earth as it pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Humph, I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Qin Feiyang snorted and used the return formula again. But this time, his arm was torn open and shattered on the spot. The ground beneath his feet exploded, creating a crater that was at least 100 meters deep. Damn, is Ma-san going to defy the heavens? If it was someone else, they would have been turned into ashes. But he only shattered an arm? Everyone was shocked. But Fatso looked surprised. He turned into a stream of light and flew into the deep pit. He landed beside Qin Feiyang and frowned. Boss, what's wrong with you? Pan Wuyen and Yan Tianfeng have the same cultivation, but why is the difference between their injuries so big? The giant hand that Yan Tianfeng just condensed was just an ordinary attack. But Pan Wuyen's Ice Phoenix evolved from a superior battle formula. I can block it and only shattered an arm. It's already very powerful. Qin Feiyang whispered. I see. Fatso nodded and whispered, in that case, don't fight recklessly. What are you afraid of? Don't forget that I still have the battle formula. If it doesn't work, I still have Chang Shui. It's too easy to kill the two of them. Qin Feiyang sneered and his eyes were filled with killing intent. You're right. Well, do as you like. Fatso smiled and left the deep pit. He stood in the distance with his arms crossed and watched the show. Qin Feiyang took out a regeneration pill and threw it into his mouth at lightning speed. Then, he jumped up and stood in the void opposite Pan Wuyan. He said indifferently, "Do you still want to continue? Bastard, let's see how long you can be arrogant." Yen Tianfeng broke through the air and landed beside Pan Wuyan. His body was covered in blood and his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. Qin Feiyang glanced at the two of them and said indifferently, "Come at me together. Don't waste my time." As soon as he said that, the crowd was in an uproar. Whether it was the people in the inner palace or the 10 guards, they could not help but feel a storm in their hearts. Is this guy crazy? He's going against two of them alone. Where did he get the courage from? Senior brother Pan and senior brother Yen probably won't agree. It's not probably, it's definitely. Yes, after all, they are the kings of the inner palace. They won't let go of their pride. Someone whispered. However, Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng's following actions caused them to be taken aback. The two of them looked at each other and a cold glint flashed across their eyes at the same time. "Ma-san, that's what you said. If you die later, don't blame us for bullying you." The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang and smiled brightly. What's going on? As kings, they don't care about their pride? The crowd was dumbfounded. They could not figure out what Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng were thinking. Even if they won later, they would definitely be the subject of ridicule and even be laughed at by others. The battle was about to start. However, at this moment, another white figure appeared above the plain. This person had a tall figure and a handsome face. His eyes were like bright stars and his white hair danced in the wind. He was emitting an extraordinary aura. Mo Wuxian. Immediately, the place fell into a dead silence. The inner palace disciples below were full of admiration and respect. However, Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng's expressions were extremely gloomy. On the other hand, Qin Feiyang and Fatso were surprised. Why wasn't he dead? They originally thought that Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng had already killed Mo Wuxian, and with Mo Wuxian's condition, it was impossible for him to escape. But now, he actually appeared in front of everyone's eyes? What was going on? Could it be that Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng deliberately let Mo Wuxian go? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang turned his gaze and looked at Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng suspiciously. When he saw the expressions of the two of them, he decisively rejected this guess. There must be something fishy about this. So lively. Why don't I join in as well? I wonder if the three of you welcome me? Mo Wuxian swept his gaze across the crowd and looked at Qin Feiyang and Pan Wuyan with a faint smile on his face. However, in the depths of his eyes, there was a bone-piercing killing intent. Interesting. Qin Feiyang muttered and smiled faintly. I'm just a small war emperor, how would I dare to fight with senior brother Mo? However, senior sister Pan and senior brother Yen definitely have the ability. Finished. Chapter 531. Pan Wuyan glanced at Qin Feiyang and then at Mo Wuxian. Both of them clenched their fists. Their faces were even gloomier than before. However, they did not make a move or speak. This was because Mo Wuxian was obviously in his peak condition. They felt a little guilty. Most importantly, Qin Feiyang was eyeing them covetously. If they really fought, Qin Feiyang would definitely be the biggest winner in the end. Mo Wuxian glanced at Qin Feiyang meaningfully, then looked at Pan Wuyan and said, "We've already shed all pretense of cordiality, what's the point of worrying about this and that?" Shed all pretense of cordiality. Everyone was secretly shocked. What exactly happened in the Spirit Cloud mountain range that caused Mo Wuxian to target Pan Wuyan and her companion? What's the use of being arrogant now? Whoever has the last laugh will be the real winner. Pan Wuyan sneered. I agree with this. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Then let's wait and see. Mo Wuxian glanced at the three of them coldly, then swooped down and stood alone on a rock. His expression was calm and no one knew what he was thinking. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang could not help but feel disappointed. He said to Pan Huyen and her companion, "Both of you, do you still want to continue?" "Humph." The two of them snorted and landed on a small hill in the distance, their eyes flashing coldly. Qin Feiyang glanced at the three of them, then landed beside Fatso. Fatso whispered, "Boss, why don't you kill them? You make it sound so easy. If you have the ability, why don't you do it?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. Fatso smiled embarrassedly. Swoosh. After that, figures kept appearing one after another. They were all disciples of the inner palace. But their cultivation level was basically below 5-star combat emperor. When the sun set, the people in the Spirit Cloud mountain range finally came out. Swoosh. Soon, a skinny white-haired old man in a black robe descended on the plains. "Greetings, Commander Nye." Everyone present bowed and saluted, including Mo Wuxian and the other two. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and Fatso also saluted. After all, this was a critical period, and they couldn't be too arrogant. Commander Nye glanced around and frowned slightly. He fixed his eyes on Qin Feiyang and shouted, "Ma-san, this is your masterpiece." Immediately, everyone's gazes were on Qin Feiyang. Their eyes contained a trace of schadenfreude. Qin Feiyang's heart went cold as he asked in puzzlement, "I wonder what Commander Nye means by this?" Before the trial, there were 3 9-star combat emperors, 3 8-star combat emperors, and 11 7-star combat emperors in the inner palace. But now, take a look for yourself. Only Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sanshi are left of the 9-star war emperor. Not a single 8-star combat emperor or 7-star combat emperor was left. Do you know how much effort the mansion master has put into nurturing them? Commander Nye shouted in a stern voice. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows imperceptibly. So the reason why everyone was left here was to hold him accountable as a warning to others? Don't think that this matter will end just by remaining silent. Let me tell you, it's not that easy. The mansion master has ordered that because your methods are too cruel and your personality is too brutal, you must be severely punished. From now on, you will be sent to prison and await the mansion master's next decision. And Zhang Lu, as Ma San's accomplice, will also be sent to prison to await his punishment. Do you have any objections? Commander Nye looked coldly at Qin Feiyang and said, "Yes." Without the slightest hesitation, Qin Feiyang said, "Would like to ask, before Palace Head made this decision, did you investigate this matter thoroughly? You dare to question the mansion master?" Commander Nye's face turned cold. "I'm not questioning. I just want to know if the mansion master is biased." Qin Feiyang said. "What a joke. The mansion master is the overlord of Yunzhou. He has always been fair and impartial. How could he be biased? If you dare to make irresponsible remarks again, don't blame me for being rude to you." Commander Nye's eyes were gloomy and his old face was full of viciousness. Fatso was so angry that he laughed and said, "Since it's fair and impartial, why not punish Mo Wuxian and the others? Did they do anything wrong? Since they did nothing wrong, why should they be punished?" Commander Nye said. "It seems that you don't know anything. Okay, I'll tell you. Niayu, Mo He, Zhao Wei, Liang Qing, Yuan Wu, these people were indeed killed by us. But the other 7-star combat emperors were killed by Mo Wuxian and the other 2. Even that woman was killed by Pan Huyen. If the mansion master is really fair and impartial, then they should be sent to prison like us. Of course. If it's because they are the 3 kings of the inner hall and have the right to be so willful, then I have nothing to say." Fatso said, his tone full of ridicule. A murderous intent flashed across the depths of Commander Nye's old eyes as he said, "This is only your side of the story, who can testify?" Fatso pointed to Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher, and said, they witnessed it with their own eyes, they can testify. Tell me about it. Commander Nya looked at Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher. Their eyes trembled as they looked at Qin Feiyang and Fatso. Fatso's face was full of anticipation. Qin Feiyang's face was calm. Immediately, Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher looked at Mo Wuxian and the other two. Mo Wuxian's expression was the same, as if he didn't hear anything, showing an attitude of indifference. But Yen Tianfeng and Pei Sanchi's eyes were faintly threatening. What should they do? The two of them really didn't dare to make a decision easily. Because, if they told the truth, they would undoubtedly offend Mo Wuxian and the other two, and would definitely suffer in the future. But if they helped Mo Wuxian and the other two fake it, they would definitely offend Ma San. If it was the previous Ma San, they wouldn't care. But the current Ma San was no less dangerous than Mo Wuxian and the other two. But just as the two of them were hesitant and in a dilemma, Qin Feiyang said indifferently, there's nothing to say, the prison is not a scary place, we'll just go. Boss. Fatso hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang glanced at him, indicating that he shouldn't speak. At the same time, Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher also cast grateful gazes at Qin Feiyang. Towards this, Qin Feiyang only smiled faintly, looked at Commander Nya and said, when are we going? You know that you have confessed. It seems that you are not hopeless yet. Commander Nya looked at Qin Feiyang indifferently, but there was a hint of killing intent in his eyes. Then, he glanced at everyone present and said, we don't object to you competing with each other, but we firmly forbid killing of fellow disciples. If anyone dares to do it again, Ma San and Zhang Lu are examples. This disciple will remember Commander Nye's teachings. Everyone bowed in response. Commander Nye nodded. He waved his aged hand and opened up a teleportation gate. He looked at Qin Feiyang and Qin Yu and said, follow this commander. Then, without waiting for Qin Feiyang and Pei Sancher, he directly entered the portal. Qin Feiyang didn't hesitate and immediately flew towards the portal. What bad luck! Fatso cursed in his heart and helplessly followed. An ancient pagoda was located in the middle of a square. The ancient pagoda was dark and towered into the clouds, exuding an ancient aura. Above the pagoda door, there were two eye-catching words, like iron hooks and silver strokes, vigorous and powerful. These two words were none other than prison. Like the prison in the spirit state, there were 10 guards, all of whom were above 5-star combat emperors. The captain of the guards was an 8-star combat emperor. Swoosh! In the sky above the square, 3 figures appeared one after another. They were Commander Nya, Qin Feiyang, and Fatso. Go down. Commander Nya called out and landed on the steps in front of the pagoda door. Qin Feiyang didn't say a word and followed closely behind. Although Fatso had a stomach full of resentment, he could only hold it in. Greetings, Commander Nya. The 10 guards bowed in salute. Commander Nya nodded and said, open the door. The captain of the guards took out a black token and opened the door of the prison. He then led the 3 of them in and stopped in front of a cell door. When the captain of the guards opened the stone door of the cell, Commander Nya waved his hand and said, you may leave first. Yes. The captain of the guards bowed and replied. Then, he suspiciously glanced at Qin Feiyang and Pei Sancher before turning and leaving. After the prison door closed, Commander Nya kicked Qin Feiyang and Fatso in the stomach. Caught off guard, the 2 of them immediately rolled into the cell in a sorry state, spitting blood from their mouths. Fatso was a little dumbfounded. But when he came back to his senses, he immediately jumped up and roared, old bastard, do you want to die? Qin Feiyang also endured the pain and stood up, staring at Commander Nya with an extremely gloomy gaze. Want to die? I think you're the ones who want to die. Commander Nya smiled, but his smile was a little sinister. Fatso clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. The anger in his heart was also uncontrollable. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang grabbed Fatso's arm and looked at Commander Nye. When did we offend you? You're still playing dumb? Don't you know that Nye Yu is this old man's grandson? How dare you kill him? How dare you? I'll tell you clearly. Since you're in this prison today, don't even think about leaving alive. Commander Nye laughed sinisterly, his old face twisting. Grandson? Qin Feiyang and Fatso were taken aback. No wonder this old thing was so angry. It turned out to be because of this. Qin Feiyang said, Commander Nye, although it was indeed I who killed Nye Yu, this is a grudge between us, the younger generation. As a highly respected senior, isn't it too beneath your status to avenge private wrongs in public? Besides, it was Nye Yu who provoked us first. Even if he provoked you, so what? I'm the commander of Yunzhou. I'm second only to one person. As my grandson, let alone provoking you, even if he rode on your head and humiliated you, you should endure it for me. Without waiting for Qin Feiyang to finish, Commander Nye roared, his eyes full of contempt. Even if he rode on your head, you still have to endure it? Fuck you, do you really think you're a big shot? Tell me now, do you have any other grandchildren? As long as you dare to say it, your grandfather will dare to end your bloodline. Fatso was furious. Why is this old man so shameless? Does he think he's the ruler of Yunzhou? That everyone has to listen to whatever he says? Although he was usually a little timid, if he was truly angered, he wouldn't even acknowledge the emperor. Well said. Qin Feiyang also smiled. Originally, he wanted to be polite and reasonable. However, it was obvious that this old thing was not a reasonable person. Since that was the case, he naturally wouldn't be polite. Moreover, he was someone who was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. What was a mere war sect worth? However, Commander Nye's old face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. Not only did he kill his grandson, he even dared to threaten to end his bloodline. This was unforgivable. Boom! A terrifying pressure roared out and rushed towards the two of them. The two were imprisoned on the spot. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Because this old man wants to slice off your flesh bit by bit and make you beg for death. Clang! Nye Tong took out a black dagger and his eyes were bloodthirsty and cruel as he walked towards Fatso step by step. It was obvious. He wanted to start with Fatso. Break! But at this moment, Qin Feiyang roared and instantly broke free from the restraints of the pressure and slapped Commander Nye's old face. Slap! The sound of the slap was crisp and ear-piercing. Commander Nye was dumbfounded. How could this be? How could he break free from his pressure? At this moment, Fatso also broke free from the pressure and also slapped Commander Nye without holding back. Another blood-red palm print appeared on Commander Nye's old face. Then, the two of them took a step back and looked at Commander Nye, whose face was green and red, with a bright smile on their faces. Swish! All of a sudden, Commander Nye looked at the two of them with murderous intent in his eyes. What? Only you are allowed to kick us and we are not allowed to beat you? How do these two slaps feel? Do you want a few more? Anyway, you are shameless. It doesn't matter if there are a few more palm prints. Boss, you are right, right. Fatso chuckled. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Pfft. Commander Nye was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. You two pieces of shit, die for this old man. Following that, his face was distorted and with the blood at the corner of his mouth, he looked extremely ferocious. At the same time, that old hand raised and the battle chi in his palm surged as he slapped towards the two of them with murderous intent. Boss, kill him. Seeing this, Fatso's killing intent was also aroused. Judging from the aura of this old thing, he was at most a 2-star or 3-star war master. If they knew his background, they would definitely not be his match. But the key was that this person did not know anything about their methods. They had a chance to catch him off guard and kill him. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. In an instant, he made a decision. Kill. Buzz. But at this moment, the buzzing sound of the image crystal rang out. Commander Nya raised his eyebrows and withdrew his hand to take out the image crystal. Battle chi surged. The shadow of an old man suddenly appeared. This was an old woman wearing a red robe. Her long hair was snow-white and her old face revealed a hint of ferocity. Greetings, Mansion Master. Seeing this person, Commander Nya immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Mansion Master of Cloud State. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other and immediately dissipated the killing intent in their hearts. Come to me immediately. After the Mansion Master of Cloud State said this sentence, the shadow disappeared into thin air. Commander Nya put away the image crystal, got up and stared at Qin Feiyang and Fatso. He laughed sinisterly. Wait until this old man goes to see the Mansion Master, then I will slowly deal with you. After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. You are still so arrogant after picking up a life for nothing. What an ignorant old dog. Fatso sneered. He was full of confidence. If the Mansion Master of Cloud State had not sent a message at the critical moment, Commander Nya would have been killed by them. The source of his confidence was Chang Shui and the Huan character formula, as well as those rib bones. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and fell into deep thought. Seeing this, Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion and frowned. Boss, can you tell me why we came to the prison? Isn't this equivalent to sending sheep to the tiger's mouth and courting death? Qin Feiyang said, You are wrong, we will not die. Fatso was stunned and said in surprise, Why do you say that? If the Mansion Master of Cloud State really wanted to kill us, he would not have sent us to the prison. Commander Nya had already attacked us on the plane. But I don't understand, what is the Mansion Master of Cloud State planning? Chapter 532. At the same time. In a certain mansion. The Yun State Mansion Master stood in front of a lake. The lake was about 100 feet long and sparkled. Whoosh! Commander Nya appeared out of thin air and bowed. What can I do for you, Mansion Master? The Yun State Mansion Master stared at the lake and said without turning his head, Were you going to kill Ma San and the others in the prison? Commander Nya's eyes trembled and he said respectfully, I dare not hide anything from you. I did want to kill them to avenge Nyayu. The governor of Yun State abruptly turned his head and stared at Commander Nya with an aggressive look in his eyes. Commander Nya panicked and said hurriedly, I know I was wrong. Please punish me, Mansion Master. Sigh. The Yun State Mansion Master was silent. In the end, he sighed and continued to stare at the lake. The dead can't come back to life. Take it easy. Commander Nya wanted to say something but stopped. His face was full of grief and anger. The Yun State Mansion Master's eyes flashed and he suddenly said, It's not that I don't allow you to take revenge. Hearing this, Commander Nya immediately revealed a look of ecstasy. But you have to ask Ma San to hand over the elixir fire. I believe you know that I gave the elixir fire to Mo Wuxian. If there were no accidents, Mo Wuxian would definitely get it. But who would have thought that Ma San would appear in the middle? Honestly speaking, this person has always kept a low profile and has always kept a low profile in his cultivation. He is a talent that can be molded. However, he is not an alchemist after all. Compared to Mo Wuxian, his value is far less. The Yun State Mansion Master said. Commander Nya cupped his hands and said, You are right, Mansion Master. I will take care of it now. Wait. The Yun State Mansion Master said. Commander Nya said, Is there anything else, Mansion Master? The Yun State Mansion Master said, The elixir fire is only one of them. What I want to know the most is the battle art that he used. Hearing this, Commander Nya's eyes also lit up. How about this? Go and tell him that as long as he tells me the secret of the elixir fire and the battle art, I will give him a chance to live. After all, the battle of the 9 states is about to start. We need him to work for us. The Yun State Mansion Master said. Commander Nya immediately frowned and said, what if he doesn't? There is no need to train a young man who doesn't know his place. The Yun State Mansion Master said flatly, but his old eyes were filled with coldness. Mansion Master. Commander Nya bowed and replied. Then, he opened the portal and left quickly. Prison. Qin Feiyang and the other man stood in the cell, pondering in silence. Footsteps could be heard. The imperial bodyguard stood at the door and coldly swept his eyes over Qin Feiyang and his companion. He then took out 4 black iron chains from his Qingquan bag and threw them at Qin Feiyang and his companion's feet. The guard said, put it on yourself or I'll do it myself. You choose. Fatso's eyes flashed with a cold light, but he put on a wretched smile and said, why don't you show it to us first? Are you kidding me? The guard's face turned cold. Don't get me wrong. I'm not kidding you. Because it's our first time here and we don't know how to use it. So, you have to show us first. Fatso stopped smiling and said seriously. The guard looked at the two of them suspiciously. But then, he exuded a terrifying aura. Shackles were simple things. Even if he had never seen them before, he could tell how to use them at a glance. You're not kidding me? You're obviously playing with me like a monkey. Boom. The guard captain took a step forward and sent a slap towards Fatty. You're asking for a beating. Fatso chuckled and used the return to 1 step. He instantly disappeared from the guard's sight. Huh? The guard was bewildered. But before he could react, Fatty appeared on his right side and slapped him in the face. Slap. Along with the crisp sound of a slap, the guard was sent flying. Half of his face was deformed and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. So what if you're an 8-star combat emperor? You're still a piece of trash. The fatty crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at the guard captain proudly. What's going on? At this moment, a hoarse and cold voice sounded. A stream of light broke through the air and landed in front of the cell door. Who else could it be but Commander Nya? Seeing the guard captain lying on the ground in a sorry state, Commander Nya's expression immediately darkened. He abruptly looked at Qin Feiyang and shouted, the two of you want to rebel? Fatso laughed and said, he tried to kill us first. We were just defending ourselves. Nonsense. Lord Commander, this subordinate has been wrongly accused. I only asked them to put on shackles, but they didn't cooperate and even played tricks on me. Sir, you must uphold justice for me. The guard climbed up and knelt at Commander Nya's feet. He said with snot and tears, looking extremely wronged. Commander Nya's eyes flashed with a hint of gloominess. He said to the guard, you go first. Yes. The guard got up and looked at the two of them with resentment. He turned and left quickly. At the same time, Commander Nya walked into the cell, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'll give you a chance to live. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, a chance, but before he could finish, Fatso held his head high and said disdainfully, a chance is not given by others. It's earned by oneself. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. This guy actually snatched the words from him? Fatso smiled at Qin Feiyang proudly, making Qin Feiyang roll his eyes. Commander Nya's eyes darkened and he said in a threatening tone, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be stubborn. The Academy Master said that as long as you hand over the elixir fire and tell us the secret of the battle art, he will spare your lives. The secret of the battle art? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and asked in confusion, what battle art? Commander Nya said, the battle art that can reflect other people's attacks. Oh. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other and came to a realization. So they're after the return formula. These people are really ambitious. Fatso rolled his eyes and said with a sneaky smile, how about this? As long as you kneel down now and acknowledge us as your masters, we will teach you the battle art. Commander Nye's eyes flashed with killing intent. Old man, I might as well tell you the truth. Our battle art is a peerless divine art. As long as you get it, I'm afraid that even that old witch may not be your match. By then, you might even be able to kill that old witch and replace her as the Academy Master of Yun State. What do you think? Are you tempted? This is your only chance. If you miss this opportunity, you won't have it in the future. Think carefully. Fatso smiled sinisterly and his words were fatally tempting. Commander Nye was indeed tempted. Who in the world didn't want to be the Academy Master? Once they became the Academy Master, not only would they have great power, but they would also have the opportunity to meet the Emperor. By then, it would be possible for them to take root in the imperial capital. Because the imperial capital was an unreachable holy land for countless living beings in the 9 states. After pondering for a while, Commander Nye's eyes flashed and he said in surprise, "Is your battle art really that powerful?" Damn! Fatso couldn't help but be stunned. Originally, he just wanted to tease this old man, but he didn't expect this old man to really have such an idea. Since that was the case, he might as well beat him at his own game. Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang and gave Qin Feiyang a subtle look. Then, Fatso ran to the door of the cell, stuck his head out and looked outside sneakily. Seeing this, Commander Nye couldn't help but look puzzled. Fatso turned around and looked at Commander Nye. To tell you the truth, the power of our battle art can almost be described as heaven-defying. Even a perfect battle art can't be compared to it. Really? Commander Nye was surprised. It was even more powerful than a perfect battle art. How could there be such a battle art in the world? Would an honest person like me lie to you? The fatty rolled his eyes at him. He walked to Qin Feiyang's side and said, "Boss, let him experience it." Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Commander Nye, throw a punch with all your strength." Commander Nye pondered for a moment and a cold light flashed in his eyes. This was a good opportunity. If this battle art was really as powerful as the two of them said, of course, it would be the best. But if they were bragging, he could take advantage of this opportunity to kill this person and avenge Nyeyu. As for the mansion master's instructions, he could find an excuse to dodge it. Boom! With that thought, Commander Nye didn't hesitate and suddenly raised his old arm. Battle chi surged and blasted towards Qin Feiyang. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. In his palm, golden light burst out. He slammed his palm in the air. In an instant, the fist and palm met, and there was a terrifying aura that swept in all directions. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. With a thought, he took Fatso into the castle without hesitation. Then, he was like a cannonball, slamming into the wall behind him. He spat out blood on the spot and his internal organs were injured. His arm was smashed and flesh and blood flew everywhere. But at the same time, Commander Nye also lost control of his feet and staggered back. He also spat out blood from his mouth. Although his injuries were lighter than Qin Feiyang's, he was extremely shocked. He didn't even notice Fatso's disappearance. One had to know. He was a 2-star war master, and this kid was only an 8-star war emperor. There was a difference of several realms, and he was actually able to push him back. He was even injured. This battle art was really terrifying. If he could get it, he might really be able to kill the mansion master and replace him. However, just as he was daydreaming, Fatso and Wolf King appeared at the same time, each holding a rib. As soon as the man and wolf came out, they pounced on Commander Nye without saying a word. And at the same time, Qin Feiyang also endured the pain, got up and took out the Chang Shui, and circled behind Commander Nye. Bang! 2 ribs smashed into Commander Nye's head at almost the same time. Immediately, Chapter 533. But because of this, Commander Nya was able to see through their intentions. How dare you scheme against this old man, all of you must die. Immediately. Commander Nya shook his head fiercely. Without waiting for the dizziness to disappear, he stretched out his hands and charged towards Wolf King and Fatso. His entire body was filled with killing intent. But this was a very unwise choice. Because his head was in a dizzy state, he was unable to make a correct judgment, and was unable to notice the situation around him at the first moment. Just like now, Qin Feiyang had already circled behind him, but he did not notice it at all. Of course. If it were other war emperors, facing an expert like Commander Nya, they would definitely not have the courage to continue fighting. But Qin Feiyang and the others were different. No matter how strong the opponent was, they had the courage to fight. Moreover, their cooperation was also flawless. Just as Commander Nya was charging towards Wolf King and Fatso, Qin Feiyang, who had circled behind him, held the Chang Shui in his hand and slashed horizontally. That bone-piercing killing intent and sharpness made Commander Nya's entire body turn cold. Who's behind me? This was his first reaction. It was only now that he realized that Qin Feiyang had disappeared. There was no doubt that the person behind him was definitely Qin Feiyang. As the commander of the Cloud State, of course, it was impossible for him to be only at this level. In a flash, Commander Nya's body quickly bent down. The Chang Shui in Qin Feiyang's hand swept over his head, cutting off a strand of white hair. "Little bastard, go to hell!" Commander Nya roared. His aura was earth-shattering as it surged towards the two men and the wolf. "The one who is going to die today is you." Fatso and Wolf King also roared as they smashed down with their ribs, once again smashing onto Commander Nya's head. Along with a cracking sound, the skull was shattered. Puff! But at the same time, they and Qin Feiyang were also sent flying by the aura, smashing into the wall of the cell. The blood and qi in their bodies were surging, and blood was spurting out. What happened? The guard captain's voice sounded from outside. Not good. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. Although the captain's strength was not comparable to theirs, he was still an 8-star combat emperor. If he joined the battle, the situation would be reversed instantly. Therefore, he had to kill Commander Nya before the guard captain arrived. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang's eyes were like lightning as he looked at Commander Nya. Commander Nya stood there, holding his bleeding head. His face was twisted as he screamed in pain. His white hair was dyed red by the blood. Obviously. Fatso and Wolf King's second attack dealt him a fatal blow. Fight! Qin Feiyang roared and decisively activated the battle formula. His essence, energy, and spirit instantly reached their peak state. Next, he grabbed the dagger and pounced forward. His battle intent was like a vast ocean that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Commander Nya shuddered and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Immediately, a black figure rapidly enlarged in his pupils. A glaring light streaked across the sky, exuding a sharp aura that could destroy the world. The next moment, he felt an ice-cold thing enter the top of his head, and penetrate his sea of consciousness. This thing was Chang Shui. Chang Shui was invincible. It could even break Mu Tianyang's divine bone, let alone a mere combat master. How is this possible? Commander Nya muttered subconsciously, and then began to howl hysterically. The sharp pain in his head made him wish he was dead. His consciousness was instantly swallowed by the darkness. Next, he fell head first to the ground, his eyes filled with resentment and unwillingness as he breathed his last breath and died. So what if you're a combat master? If you provoke me, I'll kill you all the same. Qin Feiyang muttered and landed steadily on the ground. He pulled out Chang Shui and looked at the corridor outside the door. His eyes flashed with murderous intent. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, The guard captain came to the door of the cell. As soon as he saw Commander Nya lying on the ground, his eyes suddenly widened. He immediately lost his courage and fled outside as if he was running for his life. You want to escape? Qin Feiyang laughed disdainfully, activated phantom steps, and caught up to the guard captain in the blink of an eye, killing him with a single slash. Next. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the prison gate. The other 9 guards were all standing at the door, staring at him with their mouths agape. Qin Feiyang did not kill them all. He turned and walked into the cell, looked at Wolf King and said, "You continue to cultivate, Fatso, and I will go to the inner hall." "You're going to escape?" The man and the wolf were stunned. "The Yunzhou Prefecture Lord will only let us go if I hand over the pill fire and the return word technique. This is obviously impossible. So if we stay here, we will die sooner or later. We might as well leave the prison first and think of another way to sneak into the inner hall." Qin Feiyang said. "That's true." Fatso nodded. "Then you guys be careful," Wolf King warned, and then said to Fatso, "As for this rib, I'll give it to you to protect yourself." Fatso played with the rib and chuckled. "You don't have to worry about us, you just have to focus on cultivation." TSK. "Who said brother is concerned about you? Brother just doesn't want to collect your corpses, it's troublesome." Wolf King disdained. "Crow's beak." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at it, waved his hand, and sent Wolf King to the castle. "Let's go," Qin Feiyang called out. Then, he turned around, and transformed into a streamer of light as he rushed outside. The 9 guards were still standing outside the door. One of them was holding an image crystal in his hand, and was sending a message to someone. But when they saw Qin Feiyang and Fatso come out, the 9 of them were like birds startled by the twang of a bow, and immediately fled in fear. Qin Feiyang and Fatso didn't chase after them. Walking out of the prison, they directly opened a transmission door and left. In the sky above the plain outside the Spirit Cloud Mountains, the 2 appeared out of thin air. Fatso glanced around, and seeing that there was no one around, he breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "Boss, what's the next step?" Qin Feiyang said, "We can't use the identities of Ma San and Zhang Lu anymore." Fatso said, "That's easy, just change the identity." Qin Feiyang nodded, turned to Fatso, and said, "Now, you still don't want to tell me?" Fatso's eyes trembled, and he lowered his head for a moment, then looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, "Boss, to tell you the truth, I'm actually from Yunzhou." Qin Feiyang was surprised. Fatso said, "My home is in the capital of Yunzhou." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, looking a little unhappy, and said, "So, you've been lying to us?" Fatso lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry." Qin Feiyang said, "Your parents were killed by fierce beasts in order to protect the village. Is that also a fabrication?" "Yes." Fatso nodded. "Why?" Qin Feiyang frowned. He always had a clear conscience about Fatso. Because no matter what good things happened, he would never forget Fatso. It could be said that without him, Fatso would not have today's achievements. The most important thing was that he gave all the medicinal materials to Fatso for safekeeping, and even told him his true identity. This was enough to show his trust in Fatso. But he didn't expect that Fatso had been lying to him. He felt a little uncomfortable, and even a little angry. "Boss, calm down first and listen to me slowly. At first, I said this because I didn't know you for long and didn't trust you very much. Later, after slowly interacting with you, I realized that you, Brother Wolf, and Lu Hong are all trustworthy people. Especially after knowing your true identity, I wanted to be honest with you. But I was afraid that if I said it, it would ruin our relationship. Because I know you hate being lied to the most, so I kept delaying and didn't dare to say it. Boss, I'm really sorry." Fatso lowered his head, his face full of guilt and regret. Qin Feiyang was silent. Fatso's heart gradually became uneasy. Sigh. In the end, Qin Feiyang let out a long sigh. Although Fatso lied to them, Fatso had never done anything to let them down since they met. This also showed that Fatso did treat them as close friends. In one's life, one could make many friends, but it was extremely rare to have a true friend. There was no need to ruin this rare friendship for some trivial matters. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "It's not too late to be honest now, we're still good brothers." Fatso was slightly stunned and immediately overjoyed, saying hurriedly, "Thank you, boss." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Tell me, why are you in the spiritual state? Why are you back now?" Hearing these two questions, Fatso's expression immediately changed. There was anger. There was sadness. There was also nostalgia. This matter started more than 10 years ago. Back then, my Situ family was famous in Yunzhou, and my grandfather was one of the 4 city lords, controlling the west city of Yunzhou. After a long time, Fatso spoke. "You have such a powerful background?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes. Back then, although I wasn't very talented, I could still do whatever I wanted in Yunzhou city. But when I was 8 years old, a catastrophe befell me," Fatso said with intense murderous intent in his eyes. Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat, and a bad feeling rose in his heart. He asked, "What catastrophe?" "My grandfather was deeply loved by the mansion master, and the Situ family was also at its peak. After a long time like this, it naturally attracted the jealousy of others. Especially the other 3 mansion masters. Seeing that the Situ family was getting stronger day by day, the 3 of them finally couldn't help but make a move on the Situ family. Their first target was my grandfather. At that time, they used an excuse to lure my grandfather deep into the mountains and joined forces to kill him. Then, they framed my grandfather, saying that he had ulterior motives and wanted to kill the mansion master to replace him. The mansion master, that old witch, didn't have a brain. She actually believed their nonsense. On the 3rd day after my grandfather's death, the old witch personally gave the order to annihilate the entire Situ family. My father and mother saw that the situation was not good, so they immediately brought me and a few of my brothers to escape through the night. But in the end, no one managed to escape. All of them died an unnatural death," Fatso said with a face full of hatred. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply. He never expected Fatso to have such a tragic past. It was no wonder that Fatso wanted to come to Yunzhou. It turned out that this was his homeland, his roots. There was also a blood feud that was irreconcilable. "You're not fighting alone now. The white-eyed wolf and I will stand behind you. If there's trouble, we'll face it together. If there's a grudge, we'll take revenge together." Qin Feiyang reached out and patted Fatso's shoulder. His eyes shone with a sharp, cold light. Fatso's body trembled, and he could not help but burst into tears. He said, "Thank you, boss. It's the greatest fortune of my life to be able to meet all of you. You're treating me like an outsider." Chapter 534. The 8-year-old Fatso had probably just started cultivating. How could he have escaped? He even escaped to the Yen County of the spiritual state. It was my father and the butler who saved me. The situation was very dangerous. My brothers were all killed, and I was the only one who survived. My father didn't want the Situ family to cover the retreat, so he used his heavily injured body to block the enemy, giving me and the butler a chance to escape. The fatty spoke in a low voice, and there was a sadness that couldn't be dissolved between his brows. "I see." Qin Feiyang understood and asked, "What about the butler?" "I don't know. Because not long after I escaped, I passed out. When I woke up, I was already in the Yen County, but the butler left me a letter," Fatso said. After all, he was only 8 years old and was still a child. How could he have endured such a heavy blow? Qin Feiyang asked, "What did the letter say?" Fatso said, "He told me to live on strong and not to think about revenge." "Not to take revenge?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. The butler must have thought that I didn't have the ability to take revenge. Because among my brothers and sisters, my talent was the worst. But the heavens played a big joke on me and let me live in the end. Fatso shook his head and laughed at himself. Qin Feiyang smiled. The heavens must have their reasons for letting you live. That's right. Before I met you, I never thought about revenge. Because I didn't have the confidence. But since I met you, I knew that I still had a chance. Fatso clenched his fists, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. Qin Feiyang asked, "You came to Yunzhou this time to take revenge?" "No." The butler also mentioned in the letter that he would come back to collect the bodies of my parents and clansmen so that they can rest in peace. So this time, I came back mainly to find the butler and pay my respects to my parents and clansmen. As for revenge, I know, boss, you will definitely help me. But I want to kill them with my own hands to avenge my parents, my brothers, and my clansmen. Fatso said. Qin Feiyang nodded. Indeed. If it were him, he wouldn't have asked others for help either. And now, Fatso obviously didn't have the ability to do so. Let's not talk about the Cloud State Mansion Lord, just the 3 city lords were all experts of the War Master realm. With Fatso's strength as a 7-star combat emperor, it was impossible for him to kill them. However, just because he couldn't do it now didn't mean that he couldn't do it in the future. One had to know. Fatso had been reborn a long time ago. His talent was unmatched in the entire Yunzhou. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he could kill his enemies with his own hands. Qin Feiyang said, "Then have you thought about how to find the butler?" "Where can I find it?" "I don't know either. The Situ family was exterminated because of the crime of rebellion. If the butler is still alive, he will definitely hide his identity. The chances of finding him are too slim. Unless I reveal my true identity. But doing so will definitely attract the attention of the 3 city lords and that old witch." Fatso frowned, unable to make up his mind for a moment. Qin Feiyang said, "Since we don't have any leads now, then let's go to the continent city to take a look. Maybe we can find some clues inadvertently." "Yes." Fatso nodded. Qin Feiyang asked, "Do you know the coordinates of the continent city?" "Of course I know." Fatso took out a teleportation gate and opened it. The 2 of them walked in one after another. Thousands of miles away from the Spirit Cloud mountain range, there was a huge city. The tall city wall was like a giant python lying on the ground, emitting a cold aura. Inside the city wall, buildings of different heights stood tall and majestic. On the ancient streets, there was an endless stream of people crossing each other. This was the continent city of the Cloud State, and it was bigger than the continent city of the Spirit State. The continent city only had one gate, which was located in the east. Outside the gate, there was a plain about a few miles wide. There were no trees, but the ground was full of green grass. Between the grass, wildflowers were blooming, and butterflies were dancing. Many children were running and playing on the plain. The younger ones were 5 or 6 years old, and the older ones were 11 or 12 years old. Laughter could be heard everywhere. It was a peaceful atmosphere. But at the end of the plain, there were endless mountains and rivers. This was a heaven for beasts, a holy land for hunters, and a forbidden area for children. Everywhere was filled with killing intent. In a certain forest, 2 beasts were hunting. Swish! Suddenly, 2 figures appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyang and Fatso. Roar! The 2 beasts' eyes lit up and immediately pounced at them, but Fatso easily dealt with them. Then, the 2 of them took the illusion pill and changed their appearance slightly before walking out of the forest. A moment later, the 2 of them walked out of the forest and stopped at the edge of the plain. Looking at the children playing on the plain, Fatso fell into his memories. When I was young, I often came here to play. I was the little overlord here, always followed by a bunch of kids. At that time, I thought it was quite impressive. Now that I think about it, it's quite funny. Fatso laughed. Qin Feiyang said, everyone has a happy time in their childhood. Wasn't he the same back in the imperial capital? But childhood was too short, and could only be a memory. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang seemed to have thought of something and said, since you were born here, shouldn't you know Mo Wuxian and the others? Fatso nodded, and then said, but they are all older than me. When I was born, they were already disciples of the temple, so I didn't have much interaction with them. Then why didn't you tell me when you saw them in the Spirit Cloud Mountain? Qin Feiyang frowned. It's because I'm not ready yet. Fatso chuckled. Qin Feiyang immediately rolled his eyes at him. Fatso smiled embarrassedly, looked around, and said, it's been more than 10 years, but this place hasn't changed at all. Boss, I want to take a few more looks, is that okay? Up to you. Qin Feiyang said. Fatso walked towards the city gate unhurriedly. Looking at the familiar plain, looking at the carefree children, he seemed to have seen himself in the past, and a smile gradually crept onto his face. This smile was without any impurities, pure and innocent. After knowing each other for so long, it was the first time Qin Feiyang saw such a smile on Fatso's face. It seemed that Fatso still missed the cloud region. But then again, who didn't miss their home? Everyone who wandered outside hoped to return home and reunite with their family. Qin Feiyang was no exception. He really wanted to go back and see his mother, but there were always many helpless things in the world. He could only keep this longing in his heart. The two walked for a full hour across the several miles of plain before arriving at the city gate. Fatso finally collected his thoughts, looked up at the city gate, and whispered, Father, Mother, I'm back, but you, will I be able to see you again? Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, patted Fatso's shoulder, and said with a smile, Go in. Fatso nodded. At the city gate, 4 black-armored guards stood straight, and their auras were extremely powerful. Here, not only were they responsible for interrogating people entering the city, but they also had to take care of the children playing on the plain to prevent them from being killed by ferocious beasts. But today, the interrogations were stricter than before. Everyone who came in and out had to be tested by the Heaven's Eye Stone. Therefore, there was a long line at the city gate. Qin Feiyang duo lined up at the back of the crowd. Looking at the Heaven's Eye Stones in the hands of those 4 guards, they could not help frowning. Fatso said in a low voice, Boss, with the Heaven's Eye Stones, how do we sneak in? This. Qin Feiyang mused for a while and asked, was it also like this in the past? Fatso shook his head and said, no, unless something major happened. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he looked at a middle-aged burly man in front of him. This person was stained with a lot of blood, and the smell of blood was pungent. He should be a hunter. Qin Feiyang patted the burly man's shoulder and said softly with a smile on his face, Brother, can I ask you a question? The burly man turned his head, revealing a rough face. On the left side of his face, there was a huge scar, looking somewhat repulsive. The burly man glanced at Qin Feiyang and said with a frown, What question? Qin Feiyang asked, Is this a daily check in the continent city? The burly man was stunned. Is this your first time in the continent city? That's right. I've long heard of the continent city's reputation, so I've always wanted to come and take a look. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. The continent city isn't a good place either. There's nothing to look forward to. However, I'm puzzled as well. When I left the city yesterday, I didn't use the Heaven's Eye Stones to check. Why are they so strict today? The burly man was puzzled as well. Qin Feiyang asked, Did something major happen? I don't think so. In the past, whenever something major happened, a notice would be posted at the city gates. But this time, nothing was said. It's truly strange. The burly man said. You don't know because you're not qualified to know. However, right then, the person in front of the burly man turned and looked at him in disdain. It was a young man dressed in a long black robe. He looked about 25 or 26 years old and had a dignified appearance. Unfortunately, he was a little arrogant and did not take anyone seriously. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at the black-robed young man as well. They realized that there was a small sword embroidered on his chest. That was the symbol of the divine palace. No wonder he was so arrogant. It turned out that he was a disciple of the divine palace. However, judging from his aura, he was only a battle monarch. The burly man raised his eyebrows and wanted to fly into a rage. However, when he saw the small sword, his pupils constricted and he revealed a respectful expression. Qin Feiyang asked, "Brother, do you know the reason?" "Of course I do." The black-robed young man smiled proudly, but he continued, "But why should I tell you?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered slightly. He took out a healing elixir with one pattern from his Qinkuan bag and handed it to the black-robed young man. The black-robed young man's eyes lit up when he saw it. However, a look of disdain appeared on his face. He threw the elixir on the ground and stomped it into pieces. Then he said, "I'm a disciple of the divine palace. Am I worth this? You're courting death." Fatso's eyes flashed coldly. Qin Feiyang looked at the elixir on the ground and felt that the black-robed young man was stepping on his face. A trace of killing intent appeared in his heart. However, he did not show it on his face. He looked at the black-robed young man and smiled. "Can I have a word with you?" The black-robed young man's heart skipped a beat. He said, "I have to tell you in advance that I don't like ordinary goods." Qin Feiyang smiled. "I promise I won't let you down." "You said it. If you can't satisfy me, you're finished." The black-robed young man glanced coldly at Qin Feiyang and walked towards the forest on the other side of the plain with his head held high. Chapter 535. A while later, the trio entered the woods. Seeing that there was no one around, the black-shirted young man turned toward Qin Feiyang and reached out his hand. "Let me have a look at them." Qin Feiyang immediately took 2 steps backward and crossed his arms in front of his chest with a smirk on his face. Fatso rubbed his hands and walked toward the black-shirted young man with a smirk. Seeing this, the black-shirted young man raised his eyebrows and snapped, "What are you trying to do?" "Take a guess." Fatso smirked. "I don't care what you're trying to do, but I'll give you a piece of advice. You better apologize to me at once, or else you won't be able to survive in this city." The black-shirted young man said coldly. "Ouch." Fatso uttered a strange cry and landed in front of the black-shirted young man with a sudden leap, before lashing out a slap. "Ah!" Following a cry of agony, the black-shirted young man was sent crashing into the trunk of a giant tree behind him like a meteorite, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Fatso went up to him and stomped on his face, before saying in a disdainful tone, "A mere battle emperor dares to be smug in front of us. Are you tired of living?" The black-shirted young man immediately realized that he had messed up this time. However, as he recalled his identity as a disciple of the sacred hall, he immediately became courageous and snapped, "Piece of shit, let go of your foot at once. Otherwise, it's useless even if you kneel down and beg for mercy." "Still smug?" The fatty was so angry that he laughed. He applied more force to his foot, causing the black-shirted young man's face to deform. "You dare to break the pill given by our leader, are you tired of living?" Crack. As soon as Fatso finished his sentence, the black-shirted young man's nose was broken, causing blood to spurt out. "Even Mo Wuxian, Yan Tianfeng, and Pan Wuyan are nothing in our eyes. Who do you think you are?" Fatso added as he applied more force to his foot. Following a piercing crack, the black-shirted young man's bones began to shatter. Hearing this, the black-shirted young man's heart was filled with astonishment. Even the 3 martial emperors were nothing in their eyes. Who exactly were these 2 that dared to utter such disdainful words? But regardless of whether it was true or not, he panicked. This was because his skull was about to reach its limit. If this continued, his head would definitely explode. Death was approaching. He hurriedly said, "Brothers, who's your brother? Are you worthy?" Fatso was filled with disdain. "Not worthy, not worthy." Sirs, I have eyes but failed to see. I beg you to be magnanimous and let me off this time. What do you want to know? I'll tell you the truth. The black-clothed youth hurriedly changed the way he addressed her and begged. Fatso teased, then tell me, how much are you worth as a disciple of the holy sanctum? The black-clothed youth said, it's only worth that healing pill. Bullshit. Fatso moved his foot away and immediately slapped the black-clothed youth's face again. He said with contempt, trash like you isn't even worth 1/10,000th of that healing pill. The black-clothed young man nodded repeatedly and said, yes, 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 I'm worthless. I can't even compare to a pile of dog shit. Then how dare you step on it? Fatso slapped him again and said, tell me, what should we do now? Please, stop hitting me. We'll do whatever you say, okay? The black-clothed youth covered his swollen face and begged. He was filled with regret. Why was he so stupid to provoke these two fiends? Wasn't he asking for trouble? Fatso rolled his eyes. He must be thinking of some torture method. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and waved his hand. Don't waste time. Consider yourself lucky. Fatso snorted and got up. Tell me, why is the investigation so strict today? The black-clothed youth said, it's because of Ma San and Zhang Lu. The two couldn't help but be stunned. Not long ago, Ma San and Zhang Lu killed Commander Nia and the guard captain in the prison and escaped from the prison. That's why the mansion master ordered the investigation to be stricter. The black-clothed youth said. Then why not announce it? Fatso frowned. It's said that the mansion master thinks that a commander dying in the hands of two inner palace disciples is a great humiliation to Yunzhou. That's why he didn't announce it and only a small number of people know about it. The black-clothed youth said. That's right. Such a useless commander will only be a joke if people know about it. Fatso chuckled. Useless commander. The black-clothed youth's eyes trembled. Just who were these two people? How could they dare to say such words? Qin Feiyang said, then where did you hear about it? The black-clothed youth did not dare to hide anything. He said, I have a cousin who's an inner palace disciple. He told me. Fatso was stunned. He said, that's what gives you the right to be arrogant? I was wrong. I won't be arrogant anymore. My lords, I've told you everything you want to know. Please let me go. The black-clothed youth knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. A hole was formed on the ground and his head was bleeding. It's too late to regret now. Fatso's eyes flashed with murderous intent. But at this time, Qin Feiyang reached out to stop Fatso. He looked at the black-clothed youth and said, what's your cousin's name? The black-clothed youth said, Xia Hai. Qin Feiyang said, is he an alchemist? Yes. The black-clothed youth nodded. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. This Xia Hai could be used. He said, call your cousin here immediately. As long as you cooperate, I won't kill you. This, the black-clothed youth hesitated. Fatso shouted, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish now. No, 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 I'll call him. I'll call him right away. The black-clothed youth's body and mind trembled. He hurriedly took out the image crystal and quickly recovered. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the black-clothed youth also walked to the side. Soon, a shadow condensed. It was a white-clothed youth, about 1.75 meters tall. His long hair was like a waterfall, messily draped over his shoulders. His temperament was quite extraordinary. This person was Xia Hai. Qin Feiyang also saw this person on the plains outside the Spirit Cloud Mountain, but he didn't have a deep impression of him. As soon as Xia Hai appeared, he saw the black-clothed youth's face swollen like a pig's head. He immediately frowned and asked, who beat you up like this? The black-clothed youth lowered his head and remained silent. He didn't know how to answer. Xia Hai raised his eyebrows and shouted, speak. The black-clothed youth's eyes trembled as if he was afraid of Xia Hai. He looked up at Qin Feiyang and the black-clothed youth. Is there someone next to you? This action immediately aroused Xia Hai's suspicion. Fatso was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, he found out? It doesn't matter. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and landed beside the black-clothed youth. He looked up at Xia Hai and said, your cousin owes me a lot of money. I've been lenient for a long time. If he doesn't pay it back today, I'll have to dig a hole and bury him. Owes you money? Xia Hai raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully, are you kidding me? My Xia family is powerful in the city. How could we owe you money? So what if you have money? It's a fact that he owes me money. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Xia Hai frowned and said, how much does he owe you? 500 million. Qin Feiyang said casually. 500 million was nothing for an inner hall disciple. Xia Hai frowned and looked at the black-clothed youth. He said, is this true? The black-clothed youth nodded. Xia Hai was immediately furious and shouted, bastard, how did you owe me money? The black-clothed youth was flustered. Qin Feiyang said lightly, I don't have time to listen to your nonsense. Hurry up and give me the money. Xia Hai's eyes darkened. He said, tell me the coordinates. I'll send it to you immediately. But don't hurt him again. Okay, I'll wait for you. But remember, don't play any tricks. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. After saying that, he gave the coordinates to Xia Hai. A mere 500 million gold coins isn't worth me playing tricks on. Xia Hai snorted and turned off the image crystal. Fatso was puzzled. Boss, why didn't you say more? Qin Feiyang put away the image crystal and said with a smile, if I said more, Xia Hai is not here to pay back the money. He's here to kill us. Fatso thought for a while and nodded with a smile. That's right. Their purpose was to lure Xia Hai here. If they were to say that the number was beyond what Xia Hai could bear, Xia Hai would definitely have the intention to kill them and bring people to kill them. After all, Xia Hai had said that the Xia family was very powerful. The Xia family in the city? Xia Hai? But suddenly, Fatso was stunned and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Swish! At this moment, a white figure appeared out of thin air above the three of them. It was Xia Hai. Xia Hai looked down at Qin Feiyang and Fatso. He took out a chinkuan bag and said, there are 500 million gold coins in here. Check it yourself. After saying that, he threw the chinkuan bag down. Qin Feiyang caught the chinkuan bag, glanced at it and put it away. Xia Hai said, can you let him go now? Of course. Qin Feiyang smiled and nodded at Fatso. However, Fatso lowered his head and turned a blind eye. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with suspicion, but he didn't ask any questions. The pressure of an 8-star combat emperor emerged and pounced towards Xia Hai with an earth-shattering force. Immediately, Xia Hai was imprisoned in the void. So strong? Xia Hai's heart trembled and said angrily, I have already given you the gold coins. What else do you want? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, the debt is just an excuse to lure you here. What I really need is the coordinates of the inner hall. Excuse? Xia Hai was stunned. The black-clothed youth looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Why did this person want the coordinates of the inner hall? Qin Feiyang said, you have no choice but to tell me the coordinates. Otherwise, you and your cousin will die here. Xia Hai glared at the black-clothed youth and looked at Qin Feiyang. Who are you? I said, I don't want to talk nonsense. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He was losing his patience. Xia Hai was silent for a while and said, okay, I will tell you. But I hope you can keep your promise. Qin Feiyang nodded. After Xia Hai told him the coordinates, Qin Feiyang did not go back on his word and said to Fatso, knock them out and confiscate their image crystal. However, Fatso was still silent, as if he did not hear anything. What's going on? Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at Fatso suspiciously. At this moment, Chapter 536. Xie Changfeng. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Who was this? Xia Hai's eyes were filled with bewilderment. Fatty shouted, hurry up and tell me. Xie Changfeng is the ancestor of my Xia family. You don't even know this? Are you really from the city? Xia Hai frowned. The youth in black said, cousin, this is their first time in the city. No wonder you're so ignorant. I might as well tell you that my Xia family's ancestor is the city lord of the eastern city. If you know what's good for you, immediately withdraw your pressure and apologize to us. Otherwise, you'll all die. Knowing that it was Qin Feiyang and Xia Hai's first time in the city, Xia Hai's face was filled with contempt and arrogance. However, he didn't notice that deep in Fatso's eyes, there was already a bone-piercing killing intent. Fatso said in a low voice, I've never heard of you before. You shouldn't be Xie Changfeng's direct descendants? Yes. So what if I'm not a direct descendant of the Xia family? My talent is many times better than those direct descendants' trash. Fatso's words seemed to have stepped on Xia Hai's tail. He immediately became anxious and roared. It seemed that he had a big prejudice against the direct descendants of the Xia family. He was probably bullied by the direct descendants of the Xia family. Your words aren't wrong. How could someone as despicable and shameless as Xie Changfeng, who has done all sorts of evil deeds, raise a decent descendant? Fatso sneered. Qin Feiyang finally understood that this Xie Changfeng was one of the murderers who had killed Fatso's grandfather. Who are you? What kind of grudge does my ancestor have with you? If there really is a grudge, you can just go for him. Why look for us? Xia Hai said angrily. The hatred of my family's extermination is absolutely irreconcilable. Even if you're not a direct descendant of the Xia family, you still deserve to die. The fatty's face suddenly became extremely gloomy, and the killing intent hidden in his eyes suddenly burst out. Xia Hai and Xia Hai's expressions changed. The hatred of extermination. When had their ancestor ever exterminated another family? Fatso clenched his fists. Do you still remember the Situ family from more than 10 years ago? The Situ family. The two felt as if they had been struck by lightning, their bodies and minds shaking. More than 10 years ago, the Situ clan was one of the super clans in the Cloud Prefecture. They were extremely powerful and influential. How could they not know? You're a direct descendant of the Situ family? No. Back then, the Situ clan rebelled and was exterminated. It's impossible for anyone to be alive. The two shook their heads, their eyes by surprise. If there was no accident with it, I would have died, but I hi use, today, I chens by far. The fatty's killing intent was ignited, and he pointed his finger at the two black-robed youths. Battle chi surged like a tide, and instantly engulfed the two black-robed youths. There was no accompanied by a shrill scream. The black-clothed youth died on the spot. So strong. Xia Hai's face was pale as he said in horror, every injustice has its perpetrator. Xie Changfeng was the one who exterminated the Situ family. If you want revenge, you should be looking for him. Why did you kill the innocent? My Situ family had more than 10,000 people, but they were all killed by them. Aren't they also killing the innocent? Fatso roared, his eyes were red and filled with endless hatred. He took a step forward and landed in front of Xia Hai, grabbing his neck. Don't blame me for being cruel. You can only blame yourself for being a member of the Xia family. After that, his fingers tightened and with a crack, Xia Hai's throat was crushed. Blood spurted out. This is just the beginning. Just wait to tremble. Then, Fatso let go and let Xia Hai's body fall to the ground. He raised his head and looked at the city, his eyes filled with killing intent. Qin Feiyang glanced at Fatso and pointed his index finger in the air. An invisible force surged towards Xia Hai and Xia Hai's bodies. Boom! Immediately, the two corpses shattered without a trace. Then Qin Feiyang looked at Fatso again and said, "If you really want to take revenge, now is also the time." No. Fatso shook his head and landed in front of Qin Feiyang, saying, "I must kill them with my own hands. Only then will I be able to face my parents' souls." All right. Qin Feiyang did not try to persuade him. He took out an illusory form pill and changed into Xia Hai's appearance, saying, "I'm going to the inner hall, what about you?" Fatso pondered for a moment, then said, "I'll go to the city to try my luck. Maybe the steward is hiding in the city." "That's fine too. But when you meet those people, don't be impulsive. Do what you can," Qin Feiyang warned. Fatso withdrew his killing intent and laughed. "Do you think Fat Lord is an impulsive person?" Qin Feiyang couldn't help but roll his eyes. However, he was 120% confident in Fatso. How should he put it? This guy knew how to assess the situation. If he was confident, he would fight. If he wasn't, he would run. This was not a compliment, nor was it saying that Fatso was cowardly. On the contrary, with Fatso's personality, he was destined to live longer than others. As for whether Fatso could sneak into the city, he did not consider it. Because with Fatso's brain, it was not difficult at all. With a wave of his hand, a portal opened. Qin Feiyang took out a white robe from his chinkuan bag and walked in without looking back. This robe was the uniform of the temple. And the uniforms of the temple of the 9 great prefectures were the same. The next moment, Qin Feiyang descended on a giant peak. The giant peak was more than 1,000 feet tall, like a giant sword, towering majestically. At the top of the giant peak sat a huge palace, exuding an ancient aura. Around it was an endless mountain range. The mountains were stacked, and the vegetation was lush. Qin Feiyang scanned the place and realized that it was similar to the inner palace in the cloud state. It should be located deep in the mountains. Swoosh! He dove down and landed on the square in front of the palace. He raised his head and saw the words, "Pill Fire Palace." There were also people going in and out of the Pill Fire Palace. When they saw Qin Feiyang, they greeted him politely. Qin Feiyang also smiled and nodded at them. He was pondering in his heart. It was not difficult to sneak into the inner palace, and it was also easy to escape from the inner palace. However, it would not be easy to snatch the Pill Fire. Because the Pill Fire must have an owner. Logically speaking, it should be in the hands of the temple master of the Pill Hall. Needless to say, the temple master of the Pill Hall must be a battle master. Phew. A moment later, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and walked towards the Pill Fire Palace. There were still more than 3 months before the 9-state war. He was not in a hurry to take action. He was waiting for the best opportunity. But first, he had to figure out the exact location of the Pill Fire. Using Xia Hai's identity, he successfully entered the Pill Fire Palace and soon arrived at the bottom of the well. After observing for a moment, he had a plan in his heart. The Pill Fire Palace here was slightly different from the Pill Fire Palace in the inner palace of the spiritual state. The Pill Fire Palace in the spiritual state only had 10 alchemy rooms on each floor. Here, there were 20 alchemy rooms from the 1st floor to the 9th floor. Only the 10th floor had 10 alchemy rooms. Qin Feiyang jumped up and landed on the 10th floor. He glanced at the number on the stone door and frowned slightly. In the Pill Tower in the Forgotten Land, the alchemy room used by the Tower Master did not have a number on the stone door. The fire of heavenly thunder was inside. The sacred palace in the cloud state, the Pill Fire Palace in the inner palace, and the Pill Fire Palace here, had a number on each stone door. In other words, these 10 alchemy rooms were for the disciples. If that was the case, where was the Pill Hall Master's alchemy room? Because the pill fire was most likely in the Pill Hall Master's alchemy room. He was aware of this problem before, but he never thought about it. Because he did not want to snatch the pill fire from the inner palace of the spiritual state. But now, he had to think about it. Boom! At this moment, the stone door of alchemy room number 1 suddenly opened. Qin Feiyang turned around and saw a familiar man in white walking out of the alchemy room. It was none other than Mo Wuxian. Enemies always meet. This saying is true. Qin Feiyang mumbled. Mo Wuxian also saw Qin Feiyang, but he just glanced at him and did not pay attention to him at all. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He stepped forward and landed in front of Mo Wuxian. He cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, senior brother Mo, what's the matter?" Mo Wuxian raised his eyebrows and looked at him expressionlessly. Qin Feiyang said, "I heard that Ma San escaped. Senior brother, you have to be careful." Him? Mo Wuxian lifted the corner of his mouth and said with a trace of disdain, "Thank you for your concern. I will be careful. If there is nothing else, get out of my way." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "One more thing, I wonder if I can borrow senior brother Mo's alchemy room?" Mo Wuxian immediately raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you looking for death?" Since he became the owner of alchemy room number 1, no one had ever dared to ask him to borrow it. "I just want to use it. I will not cause any trouble to senior brother Mo. Please help me. Moreover, even if you don't do it for the sake of the monk, do it for the sake of my ancestor." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and begged. But before he could finish speaking, Mo Wuxian suddenly attacked and slapped Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang also reacted in time and quickly retreated. "If you are a descendant of the Xia family, I will give you face. But who do you think you are? You are just a disciple of a branch family. Get lost as far as you can. If you continue to pester me, don't blame me for being rude. Besides, with your talent in alchemy, do you think you deserve to be in alchemy room number 1? Mo Wuxian said coldly before he turned around and left. Serves him right. How dare he borrow Mo Wuxian's alchemy room? He should take a look at his status. This is the consequence of overestimating his own strength. This scene was seen by a few passers-by below and they could not help but mock and ridicule. Qin Feiyang frowned and looked at the passers-by, saying, "Where is my alchemy room? Aren't you in alchemy room number 23? You don't even remember this, are you stupid?" Of course he is. Yes, he was humiliated by Mo Wuxian. It would be strange if he did not lose his mind. Use your brain when you do things in the future. Don't think about things you shouldn't think about. The passers-by mocked again. Qin Feiyang ignored them and landed on the 9th floor. He found alchemy room number 23 and walked in. Idiot. Chapter 537. After entering the alchemy room, Qin Feiyang ignored everything inside and took out the image crystal. Buzz. As the battle chi surged in, the image crystal shone brightly. After a while, an illusory figure was condensed. It was a beautiful woman. She looked dignified and charming. When the beautiful woman saw Qin Feiyang, she gritted her teeth and said angrily, "Bastard, you're finally willing to send a message back?" Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly and said, "Elder Lu, don't be so fierce." Fierce? Lu Yun was so angry that he laughed and said, "You call this fierce? Let me tell you, if you're beside me now, I'll skin you alive." Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Also, Old Master, Pill Hall Master, Grand Hall Master, Wang Hong, they are even angrier than me. Just wait to be taught a lesson. Lu Yun gloated. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. It seemed like his escape this time had angered everyone. "Tell me honestly, are you in the cloud region now? As long as you tell me, I'll speak for you when you return." Lu Yun said. "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head. He was determined not to reveal it. Otherwise, once the old master heard about it, he would definitely send someone to capture him. Then where are you? The Great War of the 9 States is about to begin. Don't miss the time. Lu Yun said. I won't. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said solemnly, I promise you that I'll rush back before the Great War of the 9 States begins. It's best if you can rush back. Otherwise, you'll be beaten up. Lu Yun sneered and said indifferently, Then why are you looking for me now? Qin Feiyang said, I want to ask you something. Lu Yun said, Speak. Qin Feiyang said, Where are the alchemy fires of the sacred hall and the inner hall? Why are you asking about this? Are you trying to get your hands on the alchemy fires? Let me tell you, you'd better get rid of that thought. Lu Yun immediately reprimanded him again. Your imagination is too rich. Even if I had 10 guts, I wouldn't have such thoughts. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Really? Lu Yun was taken aback as he looked at him suspiciously. She was a little worried because she knew this brat too well. There was nothing he didn't dare to do. Really? I swear. Qin Feiyang's face was full of helplessness. Why couldn't they trust him? Besides, when he was in the spiritual state, he didn't seem to have done anything outrageous. Your oath is equivalent to fart. Lu Yun rolled his eyes at him and said, The alchemy fires of the inner hall and the sacred hall are in alchemy room 1. This time, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why haven't I heard of it? However, the pill fire is in the secret room, and the secret door to the secret room can only be opened with the blood of the pill fire hall master. Lu Yun added. Only blood can open it? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. Wasn't this the same situation as the pill pagoda? Then, he asked, what about the hall master's alchemy? With disciples like you, why would the hall master need to do alchemy? Besides, even if he does, would you dare to refuse to borrow your alchemy room? Lu Yun was disdainful. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. So it was that simple? Is there anything else? Lu Yun asked. No, take care of yourself. Qin Feiyang quickly said and turned off the image crystal to avoid being reprimanded again. Brat. Lu Yun, who was in the spiritual state, couldn't help but shake her head and scold him. Then she lowered her head and pondered. If this brat wasn't in the cloud state, where was he? Alchemy room 1, at the same time. Qin Feiyang also lowered his head, his eyes flickering. Originally, he didn't want to bother with Mo Wuxian for the time being, but he didn't expect the pill fire to be in alchemy room 1. In this case, he could only compete with Mo Wuxian again. Without hesitation, he walked out of the alchemy room and flew to the 10th floor. He walked straight to alchemy room 1 and kicked the stone door open with a loud bang. What's going on? Hearing the commotion, the stone doors opened one after another, and young men and women walked out. Xia Hai. Seeing Qin Feiyang standing at the door of alchemy room 1, they were immediately surprised. Xia Hai, what are you doing? Do you know that your current actions will bring you a fatal calamity? Get out, this is not a place you should be. The people in alchemy rooms 2 and 10 on the 10th floor also walked out of the alchemy room 1 after another, looking at Qin Feiyang with contempt. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and walked in directly. He went in. Did this guy eat a leopard's guts? Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Someone shouted, quickly inform Mo Wuxian. Yes, yes, yes. When Mo Wuxian comes back, there will be a good show to watch. This audacious guy will definitely die miserably. Immediately. Cold smiles appeared on everyone's faces. A young woman on the 10th floor immediately took out an image crystal and sent a message to Mo Wuxian. Mo Wuxian was in the resource hall, buying herbs. You're courting death. As soon as he received the message, he immediately flew out of the resource hall and flew towards the pill fire hall without even bothering to buy herbs. That's Mo Wuxian's voice? What happened? Why is he so angry? Mo Wuxian's roar alarmed everyone in the inner hall. A large group of people rushed out of the cultivation hall and rushed towards the pill fire hall. The 10th floor. When Mo Wuxian came back and saw the alchemy room wide open, the anger in his heart was uncontrollable. It was a great humiliation for any alchemist to have their alchemy room broken into. Not to mention Mo Wuxian, who was extremely conceited and arrogant. Senior brother Mo, we tried to persuade him, but he wouldn't listen. We must teach him a lesson. The 9 people from alchemy rooms 2 and 10 swarmed up and surrounded Mo Wuxian, talking non-stop. They were all filled with righteous indignation. This was a good opportunity to curry favor with Mo Wuxian. Naturally, they wouldn't let it go. How dare he break into my alchemy room? He'll die today. Mo Wuxian's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he strode into the alchemy room. The 9 people also gathered at the door and looked inside. Qin Feiyang was sitting in the lounge. When he saw Mo Wuxian enter, he immediately looked up and smiled at him. Mo Wuxian walked into the lounge and looked at him arrogantly. Tell me. How do you want to die? Die? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and smiled. I've never thought of dying. Mo Wuxian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He said coldly, then you should think about it carefully. It's too tiring to think about this. Let's do something more practical. Let's compete in alchemy. If I win, alchemy room 1 will be mine. If I lose, I'll take off my clothes and run 3 laps around the inner hall. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. What? Challenge Mo Wuxian? Did this guy's head get kicked by a donkey? What kind of talent does Mo Wuxian have? They're not even on the same level. He actually dares to compete with Mo Wuxian in alchemy? The 9 people at the door were stunned. They seriously wondered if there was something wrong with their ears. Mo Wuxian also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. After a while, he recovered and said, What did you just say? Can you say it again? Qin Feiyang smiled. I said, I want to challenge you to an alchemy competition. Do you hear me now? Huh, Mo Wuxian suddenly raised his head and laughed. Challenge senior brother Mo? Compete in alchemy with senior brother Mo? How can you do such a stupid thing? Is there something wrong with your head? The 9 people at the door laughed until tears flowed down their faces. The women laughed until they were trembling. When the 9 people said this, the entire Pill Fire Palace was in an uproar. Some people were stunned. Some people were shocked. But in the end, all of them laughed without exception. Their eyes were full of mockery. What are you laughing about? Why are you so happy? Suddenly, a curious voice sounded. Everyone looked down and saw a few young men and women at the bottom of the courtyard. They were Yen Tianfeng, Pan Wuyan, Lu Yunfeng, and Pei Sancher. Although these 4 people were from the cultivation palace, they were all geniuses of the inner hall. No matter where they were, they could come and go as they pleased. Senior brother Yen, you came at the right time. That's right. If we came a little later, we would have missed this good show. Let me tell you. Xia Hai is going to challenge senior brother Mo now. And it's an alchemy competition. Everyone was talking at once. Challenge Mo Wuxian? Yen Tianfeng and the other 3 looked at each other with a trace of surprise in their eyes. Whoosh! In the next moment, the 4 of them flew up and landed on the 10th floor one after another. They walked toward alchemy room number 1. The 9 people standing at the door immediately retreated to the side. Although they were all alchemists, their cultivation was too far away from Yen Tianfeng and the other 3. Therefore, they did not dare to show their arrogance in front of the 4. The 4 of them walked to the door and looked inside. They were stunned. Xia Hai was really inside? This was going to be fun. Yen Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan walked into the resting room uninvited. Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sancher wanted to go in, but they did not have the courage. After all, they knew Mo Wuxian's temper too well. They did not dare to offend him. Yan Tianfeng crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with a mocking tone, "Xia Hai, you are so capable. You still dare to challenge Mo Wuxian." Qin Feiyang did not take this mocking to heart. He smiled faintly and said, "The challenge is not fake, but senior brother Mo has not agreed." The two of them were stunned. Pan Wuyan looked at Mo Wuxian and said with a smile, "Mo Wuxian, don't you dare to agree?" What a joke. Mo Wuxian smiled coldly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I can compete with you, but the bet is not enough." Qin Feiyang said, "What bet?" "Just say it." "Yo. That's a big tone. Looks like you are very confident." "Mo Wuxian, I think you should not compete with him. Otherwise, you will lose face if you lose to him." Yan Tianfeng and Pei Sancher said with a smile. "There is no need for you to pretend. I will accept this challenge. But the loser will have to crawl out of here and run naked in the inner hall for 3 days. Do you dare?" Mo Wuxian stared at Qin Feiyang with an aggressive gaze. "The bet is so big?" Qin Feiyang frowned. He seemed to be a little guilty. Mo Wuxian was about to mock him, but Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and nodded, "I will try. Even if I lose, it is an honor to lose to senior brother Mo. Honor?" Yan Tianfeng and Pei Sancher looked at each other and shook their heads. This bootlicking was really good. Since that's the case, let's begin. Coincidentally, the two of us can be witnesses. Chapter 538. Witness? Qin Feiyang looked at Pan Wuyan with disdain. She clearly wanted to see him make a fool of himself. What witness, what a hypocrite. But he was still a little confident in alchemy. Who would become the joke would soon be revealed. Mo Wuxian said at this time, "I won't bully the weak. What pill do you want to refine? You choose." Qin Feiyang thought for a while, sighed deeply, and said, "Anyway, I don't have much chance of winning. Whatever pill you are good at, you can refine it." Hearing this compliment, Mo Wuxian's face suddenly showed a trace of pride. But then, his eyebrows raised. No chance of winning, and he still chose the pill he was good at? Why did these words sound like he was playing with him? However, he quickly discarded this thought. What could a piece of trash possibly do? It must be a hopeless case. Then let's refine the simplest first-grade pill, healing pill. After Mo Wuxian finished speaking, he directly turned around and entered the alchemy room. He took out a set of medicinal ingredients for the healing pill, turned on the alchemy fire, and began refining. Qin Feiyang also entered the alchemy room, but his attention was not on Mo Wuxian, but on the alchemy fire. It was actually a purple alchemy fire. It looked very good, like a blooming purple gold flower. Then, he scanned the walls around the alchemy room. Where was this secret door? Done. Suddenly, Mo Wuxian's voice sounded. So fast. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Mo Wuxian turned off the alchemy fire, turned to face Qin Feiyang, and slowly opened his 5 fingers. A bright pill suddenly entered Qin Feiyang's sight. When he saw the pill, Qin Feiyang was quite surprised. This healing pill actually had 2 alchemy patterns. And the light emitted by the 2 alchemy patterns was almost the same. Not bad. No wonder this person could become the mansion master's disciple. No wonder he was so arrogant. It turned out that he had the capital. Yan Tianfeng said, "In my opinion, there is no need to compete." Pan Wuyan nodded and said, "That's right. A medicinal pill with 2 pill marks is not what everybody can refine." Although they had grudges with Mo Wuxian, they still recognized his talent in alchemy. I think so too. But I still have to try to find out. Qin Feiyang walked to the side of the alchemy furnace with a guilty conscience. He turned on the alchemy fire, and then his spiritual force emerged and rushed towards the alchemy fire. This was his first time refining pills here, so he had to fuse his mental strength with the alchemy fire first. Half an hour passed. He was finally able to control the alchemy fire as he wished. Without any hesitation, he took out a set of ingredients and began to concoct. Once an expert made a move, one would be able to tell whether or not he was an expert. Seeing Qin Feiyang's actions, Mo Wuxian's pupils shrank. This technique was even more skillful than his. Furthermore, this speed was even faster than his. Don't worry. Alchemy was not a competition of technique or speed, but mental energy. Faced with the same alchemy fire and alchemy furnace, the higher one's spiritual power, the higher the quality of the pills refined. He had full confidence in his mental strength. In less than 15 breaths, a stream of light flew out from the alchemy furnace. Qin Feiyang grabbed it and turned off the alchemy fire, but he did not turn around. Pan Wuyan and Mo Wuxian could not help but frown. Mo Wuxian said, "Don't keep us in suspense, hurry up." Sigh. I just wanted to borrow your alchemy room, but why do you have to be so aggressive? If you were willing to lend it to me, these things would not have happened, and you would not have to run around naked. Qin Feiyang sighed without turning his head. Stop pretending. Mo Wuxian sneered. He did not believe that this person could concoct better pills than him. Actually, I'm a very low-key person. I think fighting for fame and fortune is meaningless, but I have no choice. I live to fight for my pride. Qin Feiyang finally turned around and looked at Mo Wuxian with a smile. From now on, the alchemy genius of the inner hall is no longer you, it's me, Xia Hai. After saying that, he threw the pill to Mo Wuxian. Mo Wuxian caught it in his hand, looked at Qin Feiyang with disdain, and lowered his head to look. The moment he opened his 5 fingers, there was a loud bang, like a bolt from the blue, shaking his body and mind. Pan Wuyan and Mo Wuxian also looked at the pill lying in Mo Wuxian's palm. Their faces were full of disbelief. 3 veins. It was actually 3 veins. How was this possible? Was this a dream? Qin Feiyang ignored them, walked into the lounge, leaned on the chair, and closed his eyes to recuperate. He knew that it would be difficult for the 3 of them to accept this fact. Sure enough. After about 100 breaths, the 3 of them suddenly came back to their senses. Immediately. They all looked at Qin Feiyang. Mo Wuxian's eyes were extremely gloomy. Because until now, he understood that Qin Feiyang's previous actions were purely to play with him. Pan Wuyan and Mo Wuxian's eyes were shining. They did not expect. There were actually so many terrifying people hidden in the inner hall. First, it was Ma San and Zhang Lu. They had always been unknown, but in the end, they showed their power in the Spirit Cloud Mountain, not only snatching the alchemy fire, but also killing Commander Nya, shocking the entire Yunzhou. Now, it was this Xia Hai. His alchemy talent was even more terrifying than Mo Wuxian's. They could not help but wonder if there were other terrifying people hidden in the inner hall. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes, looked at Mo Wuxian, and said with a smile, "As the disciple of the mansion master, you have to keep your word." Mo Wuxian's hands suddenly clenched, and his face was frighteningly gloomy. Crawl out on his knees? Run naked in the inner hall for 3 days? To him, this was more painful than death. This is your own bet. If you don't do it, your name, Mo Wuxian, may become a joke. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Yes. A man should keep his word. Actually, this is nothing, it's just 3 days, no one will die. Pan Wuyan and the other 2 turned to look at Mo Wuxian, and their eyes became playful. The 3 of them had fallen out. Naturally, they would not let go of this good opportunity to humiliate Mo Wuxian. The most important thing was, although they were all kings of the inner hall, Mo Wuxian usually relied on his identity as the number 1 alchemist in the inner hall, and because he was the disciple of the mansion master, he often ordered them around. Now that they saw him embarrassed, they were quite happy. If you really don't want to do it, I won't force you. After all, your family is powerful, and you have the mansion master's support. And I am just a disciple of the Xia family, insignificant. I don't want to be killed because of this. Seeing that Mo Wuxian did not move, Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Don't provoke me with words. I, Mo Wuxian, always keep my word. But you better remember, I will make you pay for this sooner or later. Mo Wuxian's face darkened, and he turned around, gritted his teeth, and crawled out with his head lowered. Mo Wuxian actually lost. Outside the door, Lu Yunfeng and the rest retreated to the side, their faces full of disbelief. The people on the 9 floors below were even more dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The number 1 alchemist in the inner hall actually lost to a trash like Xia Hai? Was the heavens joking with them? This matter quickly spread throughout the inner hall. Without a doubt. A huge uproar. Many people were unable to accept this matter. Even the palace masters of the 2 palaces found it inconceivable. Xia Hai, I didn't expect you to hide so well. You will be the number 1 alchemist in the inner hall in the future, please take care of me. In the alchemy room. Pan Wuyan and Yen Tianfeng did not leave, and their tone was full of flattery. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, both of you are the kings of the inner hall, I'm afraid I can't be friends with you. The 2 of them were shocked. It seemed that this person did not like them very much. What are you talking about? You are treating me like an outsider. That's right, we are brothers from the same sect, we should protect and take care of each other. The 2 of them smiled and licked their lips. Although this person was just a branch disciple of the Xia family and had a low status, once this matter was exposed, whether it was the Xia family or the upper echelons of the sanctuary, their attitude would immediately change. This was because the value of an alchemist who could refine 3 pill veins was immeasurable. Even if he was not strong, he would be the target of countless people. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them silently. What was the difference between the 2 of them now? He did not want to have too much contact with people like them. If there is nothing else, I will not see you off. Although he said it very tactfully, anyone who understood would know that he was chasing the 2 of them away. Yen Tianfeng and Pan Wuyan's eyes were filled with anger. They were already humble enough, but he was still not satisfied. Xia Hai, everything in the world is balanced. I don't know if you have heard of this saying, where there is gain, there is loss. Although you are now famous, you will be in danger from now on. Because Mo Wuxian will not let you go. And with your strength, you are not his opponent. Only by working with us can you survive in the inner palace. The 2 of them said without hiding anything. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, thank you for your concern. If there is anything I need your help with, I will not hesitate. Pan Wuyan laughed and said, if you do not make your stand clear, we may not help you when the time comes. To be honest, I do not expect you to help. We are all smart people. The so-called care and support is just you using me and me using you. Qin Feiyang said. Alright, let's wait and see. The 2 of them laughed coldly and did not say anything else. They turned and left. But not long after the 2 of them left, a white figure suddenly appeared in the alchemy room. Qin Feiyang raised his head and his pupils constricted. It was a middle-aged man, about 1.8 meters tall, with distinct facial features and white hair. His white robe was spotless, and his eyebrows were filled with vicissitudes of life. But there was no small arrow symbol on his chest. It was enough to show that he was a big shot in the inner palace. Most importantly, the aura he exuded was like a vast ocean, unfathomable. All signs pointed to the possibility that this person was the Pill Fire Palace Lord. Qin Feiyang quickly got up and cupped his hands. Disciple Xia Hai greets my lord. He could not be sure if this person was the Pill Fire Palace Lord because he had never seen him before, so he could only call him Lord.